Vol 2, Chapter 221, Changes on Naboo Planet, Part 1. A shuttle emerged silently from hyperspace, making its way toward a breathtakingly beautiful planet. From the vastness of space, the planet appeared as a vibrant blue orb, its surface a harmonious blend of lush greenery. This was Naboo, a planet that boasted a well-preserved natural environment, untouched by the ravages of over-industrialization. Naboo stood at the epicenter of a brewing storm. Despite the recent upheavals on planets like Malastare, Celia, and Tatooine, the core of the intricate web of interests remained firmly rooted on the serene planet of Naboo. The discovery of vast plasma mines on Naboo had catapulted it to the forefront of interstellar politics. This plasma ore, with minimal processing, could be transformed into a formidable weapon capable of destroying tanks or even small spacecraft. Beyond its military applications, this rare solid-state plasma served as an invaluable resource for scientific research and industrial development. The potential of Naboo was unmatched. The planet had recently been in the spotlight due to the completion and inaugural flight of the N-1 starfighter, developed in collaboration with Nubia Interstellar Drive Co., Ltd. This achievement marked a high point in the reign of King Ars Varuna. However, an unexpected turn of events was about to unfold. The introduction of the N-1 starfighter to Naboo's Royal Air Force was a clear indicator of King Ars Varuna's intentions. He was poised to renegotiate the trade agreements with the Trade Federation, possibly even severing ties to seek more favorable partnerships. King Ars Varuna's ascent to the throne had been marred by controversy. He had secured his position by signing a lopsided trade agreement with the Trade Federation, sacrificing Naboo's interests for political support. Ironically, the prosperity he promised his people was predicated on the trade of plasma mines, a venture that enriched the Trade Federation but did little for the inhabitants of Naboo. With his term nearing its end and facing the need to secure re-election, King Varuna pinned his hopes on the N-1 starfighter project. He believed that the starfighter's superior capabilities would safeguard Naboo's trade routes, granting him leverage in negotiations to forge a new trade agreement. Alternatively, he considered striking a deal with the infamous Black Sun Syndicate, potentially securing a more lucrative arrangement. However, all these plans came to an abrupt halt. 7 days after the bombing of the obscure planet Sojourn, King Ars Varuna made a shocking announcement. He was abdicating the throne. He provided no explanation for his sudden decision. Appearing to have aged decades in just a week, he trembled as he announced his abdication and then vanished from the public eye, leaving a trail of speculation and mystery. His whereabouts remained unknown, and it was as if he had simply disappeared. In his quest to free Naboo from the oppressive trade agreement with the Trade Federation, King Varuna had made desperate alliances with terrorist organizations like Black Sun and Bando Gosa, even plotting the assassination of Hago Damask II, a key figure linked to the interstellar banking clan and the Trade Federation. His actions underscored the perilous path of compromising one's principles for power, a path that led to his downfall. King Varuna's abdication left Naboo in a precarious position. His dealings, driven by personal ambition, had not only jeopardized his own future, but also the fate of the 4.5 billion inhabitants of Naboo. As the planet faced an uncertain future, the consequences of Varuna's choices loomed large, casting a shadow over Naboo's destiny. The government of the planet Naboo acted swiftly in response to a crisis, setting up an interim administration to steward the planet and accelerating the election process for a new monarch by 2 years. Opinions on the candidates were varied, but the most popular choice was a kind and beautiful woman from the Nabeli family. It seemed as though the former kin of Varuna had been swiftly forgotten, with the majority of the populace showing little nostalgia for his reign. Under Varuna, Naboo suffered significant environmental degradation due to overexploitation, and relations with the Gungans, another indigenous species, deteriorated to the brink of war. Furthermore, the people's quality of life had not improved. Instead, they faced increased burdens due to the development of the N-1 starfighter project. However, not everyone had erased Varuna from their memory. A shuttle pierced the atmosphere of Naboo, unchallenged by the Royal Air Force, thanks to the use of advanced defense identification codes. It made a beeline for a secluded mountain range, an area so desolate it was almost devoid of human presence. As the shuttle descended, a cluster of simple yet tidy houses, constructed from local materials and seamlessly blending with the natural surroundings, came into view. The hatch opened, and Darth Plagueis, cloaked in black and leaning on a cane, emerged first, followed by Tang Xiao, who was similarly attired. Despite their simplicity, the houses exuded a sense of order. However, upon entering, they were greeted by the pungent odors of alcohol and fermenting food, which was almost nauseating. With a wave of his hand, Darth Plagueis summoned a gust of wind that swept the clutter, wine bottles, trash, and furniture, into a corner, significantly clearing the air. In the bedroom, an old man lay in bed, wrapped in a quilt and muttering incoherently in his sleep. His pale complexion and thinning hair bore no resemblance to the once dignified and bald King Ars Varuna of Naboo. Plagueis set his cane aside and took a seat beside the bed, observing the former king in silence. Varuna, caught in the throes of a nightmare, suddenly awoke to the sight of Darth Plagueis and panicked, screaming in terror and pleading for help. Plagueis, however, responded with unexpected gentleness, soothingly patting Varuna's back. "Ah, my friend Varuna, what has brought you to such a state? It pains me to see you like this. You're in your 40s or 50s. At your age, you should be taking better care of yourself rather than obsessing over power." Vol 2, Chapter 222, Changes on Planet Naboo, Part 2. Darth Plagueis' voice was as soothing as warm sunshine, yet it made Varuna shiver uncontrollably. "Hi, teacher, hi. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. There's no need for apologies, Your Majesty Varuna. Is there a need for such formalities between us, given our friendship?" Darth Plagueis chuckled. "After all, I've watched you climb the ladder of success step by step. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Varuna curled up, wrapped in a quilt, lacking even the courage to flee. Darth Plagueis continued, "You know, I've always had high hopes for you. You're a brave soul, facing your desires head-on. You once told me, I want to be the king of Naboo, and I'm willing to sacrifice anything for it. It's rare for someone to admit their ambitions so openly, but to me, that's courage. You see, you didn't need to hide your ambitions from me. I can see right through them." Varuna remained silent, trembling. "I showed you a path. The Trade Federation has a keen interest in Naboo, not to mention their wealth and their capability to remove any obstacles in your path. So I introduced you to them, and they indeed helped you become king. As for the trade agreement, well, everything comes at a price," Plagueis explained, his tone pleasant as if reminiscing with an old friend. He conveniently omitted any mention of the assassination attempt. "I was actually quite pleased when you announced the development of the N1 starfighter. It meant that Naboo was becoming an even more valuable pawn in my plan. Until my apprentice's ghost fighter was introduced, I thought we'd have to rely on those cumbersome droid fighters against the Republic's Air Force." Darth Plagueis laughed. "Oh, are you curious why I'm opposing the Republic? It's a long story, starting with the war between the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire 5,000 years ago," Darth Plagueis said with a grim smile. "In that grand victory, the Sith Empire was relegated to the annals of history." Darth Plagueis then began to unveil his true identity, along with his dark plan to overthrow the Galactic Republic, annihilate the Jedi Order, and conquer the galaxy. Varuna's reaction, evident from his cold sweat and violent trembling, clearly reflected his terror upon realizing that the man before him was Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis gestured for Tang Xiao to approach and introduced him to Varuna. "This is my apprentice, the real mastermind behind the Fourth Group and the developer of the Ghost Fighter. Impressive, isn't he?" Varuna was speechless. During the development of the N1 starfighter, he had, of course, compared it to other starfighters in the galaxy, including the infamous Ghost Fighter. To think that not only the old powerhouses like the Trade Federation, the Interstellar Banking Clan, and the Corporate Alliance, but also the emerging Fourth Group were under the control of the Dark Lord before him. The very person he had once arrogantly sought to assassinate was no ordinary individual. "If I had another chance, I wouldn't dare even glance in his direction, let alone consider assassination," Varuna thought to himself. "Come, Tang Xiao, do you remember the Force techniques I taught you last time?" His Majesty Varuna's health is failing, You need to act quickly, Darth Plagueis said courteously. Tang Xiao approached with a slight smile, taking Varuna's cold hand in his. Since the data on the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship had been revealed, Darth Plagueis had completely lowered his guard around him. Though not everything was shared, he was earnestly imparting his knowledge. He excelled in teaching Tang Xiao, who understood his mentor's intentions well. Plagueis had another apprentice preoccupied with political affairs, leaving no time to carry on his legacy. Tang Xiao, therefore, became the prime candidate to inherit Plagueis's knowledge. Under his tutelage, Tang Xiao mastered many of Plagueis's force techniques. For instance, as they practiced on Ars Varuna, his breathing became labored, his face contorted in agony, a testament to the pain he endured. You're getting the hang of it, Tang Xiao. Using the force to create pathogens and then letting them slowly sap his vitality is clever. However, it's not enough. What you've created can hardly be called life. Without your force, they're merely defective strains. You should aim to do this. Plagueis meticulously pointed out Tang Xiao's shortcomings. Together, the master and apprentice conducted their experiments on Varuna's body, generating countless germs that thrived within him, causing unbearable pain that silenced his screams. See, Mr. Varuna, you thought I was merely a wealthy puppeteer, but in truth, I am a harbinger of death. Yes, death is under my control, like sheep to a shepherd, and you, merely one among them, will pass through the gateway of death by my hand, never to cross paths with us again, Das Pop Regis remarked, feigning kindness as he inflicted torture on Ars Varuna. Amidst the relentless agony, Varuna could hardly perceive anything beyond his own low, pained moans. Harnessing the force to create life was not merely for combat or assassination, it was a means to delve into the essence of the force itself. Tang Xiao was particularly eager to experiment on the former king of Naboo, believing he was undeserving of any sympathy. As dawn broke, their shuttle lifted off, leaving Naboo behind. Meanwhile, on the other side of Naboo, in the capital city of Sid, a modest yet prestigious gathering took place within the Sid Palace. A young girl, merely 13 but exuding elegance, stood at the center of attention, bathed in the adulation of the nobility. She was a radiant presence, her grace outshining even the splendor around her. Shiv Palpatine, Naboo's representative in the Galactic Council, was among the attendees. He approached the girl with a bouquet of flowers, offering them with a warm smile. Congratulations, Miss Padme Niburi. From this day forward, you shall be known as Princess Amidala and serve as the mayor of Sid. Padme's smile bloomed like the flowers in her hands, her beauty rivaling their allure. Lord Palpatine, I am grateful for your guidance and support. I dedicate my life to the service of Naboo's people and its future, she responded, her voice carrying the weight of her newfound responsibilities. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter. Vol 2, Chapter 224, Arms Advertisement. After a strategic meeting with Phoenix Valorum, Shiv Palpatine retreated to his private quarters. Following a few hours of deep meditation, he rose, discreetly exited through a hidden passage, and boarded a hovercar bound for the industrial sector of Coruscant. Ensuring his identity remained concealed, he donned a black hood that obscured the upper half of his face before initiating a secure communication. The holographic projection flickered to life, revealing a formidable woman. Upon recognizing Palpatine, she immediately knelt on one knee, her voice laced with reverence. Lord Sidious, as per your directives, we stand ready for the upcoming business summit. Palpatine, now fully embodying his alter ego Darth Sidious, replied with a voice thick with distortion. I have maneuvered the pieces into place, presenting your nebula front directly to Phoenix Valorum. He is currently contemplating our proposal. Should he consent to your participation in the summit, your organization will be laundered into a legitimate enterprise, as I have orchestrated. And if he refuses, inquired the woman, a hint of concern in her tone. Then you shall resort to what you excel at, Sidious responded with a sinister chuckle. Fear not, for the dark side shall shield you. Whatever actions you undertake at the summit will not lead to persecution. Ha! His laughter echoed ominously. As you command, my lord, we remain ever prepared, she affirmed. Yes, readiness envelops us all. In the outer rim of the galaxy, within the core of Hutt space, lies Nar Shaddaa, the smuggler's moon. This moon, orbiting the Hutt homeworld of Nal Hutta, is recognized as the most chaotic planet in the galaxy. Following their expansion from Nal Hutta, the Hutts devoted themselves to the development of Nar Shaddaa, while striving to preserve the swampy environment of their homeworld, a setting dearly beloved by their species. Over millennia, Nar Shaddaa has transformed into a planet completely engulfed by urban sprawl, mirroring Coruscant's cityscape, but distinguished by its towering structures that reach heights of up to 10,000 meters. Governed by the Hutts, the moon has become a hotbed for criminal activities. Smuggling, kidnapping, spice and arms trafficking, and slave trade flourish here, magnifying the galaxy's vices by 1,000-fold. It's a planet where lawlessness reigns supreme, yet it's also a place where fortunes are made and lost in the blink of an eye. For those lacking strength, Nar Shaddaa is nothing short of hellish. A towering figure, cloaked and standing over 2.5 meters tall, navigated the bustling streets of Nar Shaddaa with a sense of urgency. Despite his intimidating stature, the nervous pace of his steps betrayed an inner turmoil. It wasn't long before he attracted the attention of several unsavory characters, their intentions far from benign. Suddenly, a seemingly inebriated individual stumbled into his path. The collision was inevitable, and with a loud thud, the drunkard was sent sprawling, inadvertently tearing the cloak off the towering figure and revealing his true identity, a fearsome being with green scales, vertical pupils that glowed menacingly, and a mouth filled with sharp, protruding teeth resembling a bipedal lizard. Damn, it's a Yinchori. Keep your distance from them. Those creatures are nothing but trouble. The revelation caused the lurking shadows to retreat hastily. The Yinchori, now exposed, approached the drunkard with a menacing glare, his mouth agape to reveal even more of his razor-sharp teeth, each one gleaming ominously. "You! How dare you expose me?" he snarled. "No. I'm sorry, it was an accident." The drunkard, now sobered by fear, scrambled to his feet, looking around for any sign of his companions. But upon realizing the nature of his assailant, he found himself utterly alone. "Die!" In a fit of rage, the Yinchori lifted the man and hurled him against the wall with such force that the impact left nothing but a blood-stained smear. The unfortunate drunkard met his end in an instant, a grim reminder of the perilous nature of Nar Shaddaa. Upon witnessing the formidable strength of the Injoli, which rivaled that of industrial machinery, bystanders quickly dispersed. The Injoli retrieved his tattered cloak from the ground, wrapped it around himself in a deceptive manner, and hastened his pace. He made his way to a newly constructed building that shone brilliantly, its pure metal structure gleaming under the light. The building was adorned with numerous holographic projection advertisements, each one actively promoting the products of the corporation from every direction. At the most prominent spot on the top floor, several large characters were projected, announcing the presence of the Fourth Group. At the entrance, cleaners were busy removing over a dozen unrecognizable bodies, while onlookers whispered among themselves, "This is the third time this month that the Black Sun has attempted a challenge here. Do they really believe they have lives to spare?" Observing the corpses, the Injoli inwardly scoffed, his gaze then shifting to the M8 Avenger assault rifle held by the door guard, a sense of longing evident in his eyes. He double-checked the information on the note in his hand before approaching. The guard, spotting the suspicious figure, intervened. "Please halt, sir. Remove your cloak and state your purpose. If you're here for business negotiations, you must relinquish all weapons." The Injoli handed over a small device, stating in a deep tone, "I was sent by this person." Upon inspection, the guard realized the device bore the emblem of Damask Holdings Group, complete with an identification code. His demeanor softened considerably after verifying the code's authenticity, allowing the Injoli to enter. Inside, the spacious hall was alive with activity. Over 10 massive screens displayed advertisements, while groups of people engaged in discussions or negotiations. The scene was further animated by more than a dozen elegantly dressed sales guides, each stunningly beautiful, who were busy showcasing products to the visitors. Their allure made it difficult for many customers to tear themselves away. The Injoli positioned himself under one of the screens, which attracted the largest crowd, indicating the popularity of the product being showcased. The screen played a Star Wars video, Clearly not a work of special effects, but actual footage of two fleets locked in a fierce battle. Among the chaos, Z-95 starfighters clashed with ghost fighters. What was shocking was the presence of a gear-shaped logo on both the enemy's battleships and fighter jets, the emblem of the Galactic Republic. The video depicted the Republic's fleet in retreat, suffering heavy losses against the ghost fighters, which demonstrated overwhelming firepower, leaving the Republic's Z-95 starfighters utterly outmatched. A sinister sneer formed on the Injoli's lips as he watched the Fourth Group brazenly advertise their massacre of the Galactic Republic fleet. It was clear to him that he had ventured into a place where the stakes were far beyond what he had anticipated. Vol 2, Chapter 225, Army. "Do you require assistance, sir?" A mustachioed account manager approached, his voice dripping with politeness. Despite his composed exterior, he was internally trembling at the sight of the formidable Injoli before him. The other shopping guides had refused to approach, leaving him no choice but to step forward. The Injoli paid him little mind, his attention captured by the advertisement before him. With a heavy breath, he inquired, "This fighter, and what else do you have?" "Our selection is quite extensive. What you're looking at is the CF-A-17 Ghost Fighter, arguably the pinnacle of black market starfighters. It boasts a maximum acceleration of 3,500 G, atmospheric combat capabilities, 3 pulse laser cannons, and 2 Gemini air-to-air missile launchers, with a total of 20 missiles," the account manager explained with practiced ease. "However, we can only offer this fighter in limited quantities. The base price is 200,000 credits, but for expedited or bulk orders, the price increases by 50,000 credits per unit." Upon hearing the price, the Injoli's irritation flared, but he restrained himself from directing his anger at the account manager, who seemed as if he could be knocked over with a mere slap. Instead, he growled, "What else?" "It really depends on your needs, sir. Our arsenal includes many powerful and cost-effective weapons," the account manager replied. "I want everything. The document I provided earlier should include a financial guarantee certificate from the Damask Holding Group," the Injoli bellowed. The account manager nodded in acknowledgement. "Very well. Next, we have the Vengeance-class light destroyer, a formidable medium-sized vessel. However, its sale is regulated by the Republic. To circumvent this, the price is set at 2.5 million credits and will arrange for covert delivery. If you prefer options not restricted by the Republic's regulations, we also offer the Cobalt Alloy-class heavy frigate, measuring 78 meters, and the Hammer-class light frigate. The former is priced at 800,000 credits, while the latter is more affordable at 150,000 credits each, making it cheaper than a ghost fighter." As the account manager warmed to his pitch, his fear dissipated. He switched the display to show a video of the Malastar Fjord battle, where their fleet clashed with the Republic's. In this engagement, our Ghost, Cobalt, Hammer, and Vengeance models outperformed the competition, including Z-95s, Republic shuttles, and Consul-class cruisers. He continued, "We also offer the Type 21 assault rifle, an older model gas-operated firearm that's still highly effective. Its rate of fire surpasses most blasters. Additionally, we have the M8 Avenger pulse rifle and the M23 Katana shotgun, both next-generation weapons. Thanks to advanced manufacturing techniques, their sizes can be adjusted to fit the user perfectly." Mid-presentation, a secretary whispered something to the account manager. Turning to the Injoli, whose eyes blazed with excitement, he hesitantly said, Sir, the financial guarantee from the Damask Holding Group covers only 2 million credits. So you see." Enraged, the Injoli grabbed the account manager, bellowing, "Your weapons are outrageously priced. What can I possibly buy with 2 million credits?" "Sir, please calm down. Our weapons are of the highest quality and offer unparalleled value. Compared to other market offerings, ours are competitively priced," the account manager protested. Meanwhile, in the Endor galaxy aboard the Mothership Glory, a secret biological laboratory hosted King Hago Damask II and Tang Xiao. Standing in front of an operating table with a corpse laid upon it, Hago and Tang Xiao were deeply engrossed in their work. The body belonged to an Injoli, a rare specimen that had prompted Hago to personally visit the Mothership of the Glory for this experiment. This was a significant gesture, indicating Heigei's willingness to integrate and share his knowledge with Tang Xiao, who was eager to learn. With precision, Heigei wielded a scalpel and the force to meticulously extract tissue from the Injoli's body, placing it under an electron microscope for detailed analysis. Injolis are cold-blooded creatures with a relatively short adult cycle. They enter puberty at about 8 years old and reach adulthood by 15. However, their lifespan is generally limited to around 60 years. If you examine their cells, you'll find that each one contains an original fibril. These fibrils form a symbiotic relationship with the cells, Heigei explained, his voice steady and informative. He continued, "Now, observe their tissue fluid. This unique substance is found in high concentrations within their subcutaneous cells, enabling them to significantly reduce the force's influence on them. I hypothesize that the planet Injoli once thrived in a force-rich environment billions of years ago, leading to the inhabitants' high resistance to it." Tang Xiao nodded in understanding. So, their outer skin scales can withstand energy weapon fire, and their subcutaneous cells can resist the force. Coupled with their short lifespan, rapid maturation, and the fact that their individual strength can surpass that of humans by 5 to 10 times, they seem like the ideal soldiers. However, Heigei shook his head, his expression turning somber. Despite their potential, feedback from Kaminoan cloning experts suggests that the Injolis are not suitable for our purposes. We need an army, but the Injolis do not meet the criteria. Tang Xiao, puzzled, inquired, "With all due respect, Honorable Lord, why are we assisting the Republic in building a clone army?" Heigei responded with a sneer. "The Galactic Republic has currently abolished military conscription. Recruiting soldiers through traditional means would pose numerous challenges and likely attract unwanted attention from the Republic's parliament, which would never sanction such an action." Tang Xiao started to speak, but Heigei raised his hand to stop him. "I understand your question. Why assist the Republic in forming an army? Do you think we can overthrow the Republic and restore the Sith Empire by engaging in millennia of warfare? That would be a foolhardy endeavor." His gaze darkened as he leaned closer. "What we need is for the Republic to defeat itself from within." Vol 2, Chapter 226, Financial Strain? "Let the Republic destroy itself," Tang Xiao nearly exclaimed. Had he not been privy to the plot beforehand, the sheer audacity of such a scheme would have taken him aback. The plan intricately wove together the Galactic Council, planets of the inner, middle, and outer rings, Hutt Space, the Jedi Order, the Trade Federation, the Corporate Alliance, the Interstellar Banking Clan, the Commerce Guild, the Techno Union, and various underworld and terrorist factions. Darth Plagueis had masterminded a colossal web, ensnaring the interests of every major power in the galaxy. Contrary to common belief, Tang Xiao recognized that the true architect behind this elaborate scheme was Darth Plagueis, with Darth Sidious primarily acting as the executor. In essence, Darth Plagueis' strategic acumen surpassed even that of Darth Sidious. "A clone army has long been a solution I've contemplated. This force will not only serve as our future military, but also as leverage to compel the Galactic Republic into conflict. Imagine, at the height of your hatred and rage, desiring nothing more than to eliminate your adversary immediately, and someone offers you a blade. Would you then go out of your way to forge a new weapon, or would you seize the opportunity to strike?" Heigei articulated. The communicator buzzed to life, projecting a hologram of a Kaminoan. With their diminutive heads and exceptionally slender necks, resembling bean sprouts, and donned in futuristic attire akin to spacesuits, the Kaminoans carried themselves with a refined grace. "Have we reached a conclusion, Director Lamassu?" Heigei inquired, pausing his work. Ramassu, the Kaminoan, after conducting over 3,000 comparative experiments and analyzing upwards of 14,700 DNA samples, we've determined that humans are the most suitable candidates for the clone army. What of the Injolis? I speculated that the amine secretions from their brain's second frontal lobe could potentially influence their behavior via synthetic hormone stimulation. Kuro Damask-tsu mused, washing his hands at a nearby sink, his words laden with technical jargon that Tang Xiao found utterly incomprehensible. "Our experiments have shown only a 77% success rate with that approach. For an army intended for mass production, such a probability is untenable, Ramasu explained. In that case, we must abandon the Injoli initiative. 11-4D, dispose of this waste, Higi commanded indifferently. The medical droid 11-4D promptly wheeled the disfigured Injoli corpse away for disposal. We require the genetic material of the finest human warriors, excluding those sensitive to the Force, as our studies have shown they cannot be replicated, Ramasu added. The finest human warriors? Heo pondered briefly. Very well, I'll have my people keep an eye on the bounty hunters. Ensure you fulfill your duties well. In next year's election, I expect you to become the Prime Minister of Camino, he stated. It shall be done, Master Hego, Ramasu bowed, expressing his respect. After ending the communication, Hige gestured to Tang Xiao. Let's proceed to the altar for meditation. Understanding that Hige intended to contact his senior, Darth Sidious, Tang Xiao discreetly excused himself. However, he hadn't gone far when his communicator buzzed again. This time, it was Gross Shelby, the Director of External Affairs at the Ministry of Commerce, on the line. Manager, I apologize for the intrusion, but we're facing a situation. An Injoli is causing a disturbance at our weapons facility in Narsada. He's looking to purchase a significant arsenal, but his financial backing from the Damask Holding Group amounts to a mere 2 million credits. You mentioned keeping an eye on the Injoli, so... She trailed off, somewhat awkwardly. The Injoli are of no consequence. Just supply them with some weapons, Hige responded dismissively, indicating his lack of concern for the financial implications. Hige expressed his disdain as he listened to the communication. For 2 million, just let them stir up trouble and add to the Republic's chaos. Despite his normal tone, Gross Shelbia seemed oblivious to his words, her gaze fixed intently on Tang Xiao. After a moment of contemplation, Tang Xiao addressed Shelbia. Increase their financial guarantee to 20 million, but ensure they pledge future spoils as collateral. Understood, manager. I'll proceed immediately, Shelbia responded. Hige scoffed at the decision, wasting production capacity and funds on worthless endeavors. Your misguided generosity better not jeopardize my upcoming fundraising efforts. Tang Xiao was well aware that Hige referred to the ambitious project of constructing the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship, which was now in its initial stages. The project involved setting up a company and pooling resources, with the first phase alone estimated to cost 2 billion credits, primarily due to the construction of a supergiant shipyard. The total investment was expected to surpass 4 billion credits upon completion of the 3-phase project. The exorbitant cost was largely because the project required starting from scratch, forming a new scientific research team, establishing an engineering team, and building an interstellar dock. Moreover, many crucial technologies were monopolized by the largest shipbuilding corporations. If the Titan were to be constructed by Quarter Power Dock or Lundley Star Engineering, the cost could be significantly reduced. To finance such a colossal shipbuilding endeavor, even Darth Plagueis had to reorganize its industries on a grand scale. Additionally, the upcoming clone troop manufacturing plan demanded substantial funding, which had to be secured independently from the Titan warship project. Now, even Black Gatamask II, arguably the wealthiest individual in the galaxy, found himself tightening his purse strings, lamenting to Tang Xiao over a mere 20 million credit transaction. Tang Xiao reassured him with a smile. Don't worry. Although we're tight on funds, 20 million isn't beyond our reach. The Indians might not be suitable as mercenaries, but I believe they have other potential uses. We should be able to recoup the investment soon. If that's the case, the decision is yours. Black Gatamask II conceded, no longer objecting to Tang Xiao's plan. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, The Kaminoans. Vol 2, Chapter 227, The Dark Path. After concluding his meditation, Tang Xiao was summoned to his laboratory by Darth Plagueis. It appeared that the clandestine discussion between Plagueis and Darth Sidious had concluded. Plagueis scrutinized Tang Xiao, his gaze piercing as if attempting to unravel the secrets within him. Without warning, Plagueis ignited his bright red lightsaber and lunged at Tang Xiao with ferocity. Caught off guard, Tang Xiao hastily drew his own lightsaber to defend himself. Plagueis's assault was relentless and straightforward, his swordplay a blur of motion that Tang Xiao struggled to counter. It seemed Plagueis was determined to make a point, continuing his onslaught until Tang Xiao was overpowered and beaten down. Sheathing his lightsaber, Plagueis spoke with a chilling tone. Do not let your recent advancements in the Force give rise to arrogance. You have yet to witness the true extent of bloodshed necessary. Rising from the ground, Tang Xiao bowed his head, humbly replying, I will dedicate myself to further training. Spare me your wordplay. I'm intensifying your training regimen, Plagueis declared. He retrieved a second lightsaber from a drawer and tossed it to Tang Xiao. Upon activation, a blue blade hummed to life, its presence unsettling due to the remnants of the light side of the Force it carried. Is this a Jedi Knight's lightsaber? Tang Xiao inquired, sensing the dissonance. You will use this lightsaber for your missions, Darth Plagueis instructed coldly. A Sith's red blade is too conspicuous. This weapon, acquired from a fallen Jedi, will conceal your true identity. Killing? Tang Xiao questioned, seeking clarification. Your targets are the strongholds of the Black Sun and Bando Gosa. My intelligence network has provided their locations. You are to eliminate everyone within these strongholds, leave no survivors, and you will undertake this mission alone. I do not wish to see your mechanical bodyguards again. They only hinder your path to true strength, Plagueis commanded. A chill ran down Tang Xiao's spine as he realized the gravity of Plagueis's orders. He instinctively wanted to object, citing responsibilities with his own group, but Plagueis cut him off with a piercing glare. The word weak resonated with a demonic echo, plunging Tang Xiao into a psychological abyss filled with visions of endless darkness, bloodshed, and despair. Don't dare show me any semblance of weakness or compassion again. Fail, and I will not hesitate to kill you and obliterate your fourth group, Plagueis threatened, his voice a sinister whisper. Blood trickled from the corner of Tang Xiao's mouth, a result of him biting his tongue to maintain his willpower and resist becoming a puppet to Plagueis's will. He understood the dire consequences of defiance. This brutal lesson served as a stark reminder of his identity, Darth Marthael, a Sith dedicated to the path of destruction and chaos. The Sith way tolerated no deception or half measures, only the relentless pursuit of power through the dark side. Tang Xiao abandoned any naive hopes of redemption. He recognized that harboring such thoughts would only expose his vulnerabilities and lead to his downfall. The only path forward was to delve deeper into the darkness, embracing the ruthless nature of the Sith. Darth Plagueis's transformation was not just a mere change of allegiance. It was a complete rebirth. 2 years from now, the entity that would emerge from the remnants of Darth Plagueis wouldn't be Tang Xiao, redeemed and returned to the light. Instead, the galaxy would either witness the rise of a new, more formidable and darker Sith Lord, Darth Marthael, or it would see nothing but a new corpse. If you truly possess the capability to govern, to influence, and to dominate, you should realize that constant presence in an office isn't necessary to control your empire. As a Sith, what you need above all is the dark side force emanating from Darth Plagueis intensified, now tinged with a hint of bloodlust, rage, and the will to kill. Kneeling on one knee, Tang Xiao bowed his head and responded, As you wish, my lord. In the Endor galaxy, aboard the Mothership of the Glory, Tang Xiao's shuttle glided into the hangar. On his designated platform, a squad of honor guards awaited his arrival. Dressed in bright red combat uniforms, with capes draped over their shoulders and helmets adorned with red feathers, they presented a formidable and majestic appearance. Each guard was of equal height, adding to the uniformity and grandeur of the scene. As Tang Xiao disembarked from the shuttle, the guards snapped to attention. They remained silent, knowing Tang Xiao's preference for quiet respect over loud accolades. They simply waited for him to pass before aligning themselves behind him, enhancing his authoritative presence. Tang Xiao made his way briskly towards the bridge. An assistant approached him, holding a terminal that projected a holographic screen, and began updating him on the recent activities of the Fourth Civilization. Indeed, as Darth Plagueis had implied, establishing an efficient administrative system meant Tang Xiao didn't need to micromanage every aspect. As the leader, his role was to guide, not to execute every task personally. If the Fourth Civilization faltered in his brief absence, it would only prove its unworthiness. The think tank had compiled reports on the economy, public welfare, industry, military, and diplomacy for his review. Based on Tang Xiao's directives, they would then formulate a detailed action plan. Manager, the Supreme Military Command, and the Engineering Science Department have proposed 3 types of warship designs for your approval. This is currently our highest priority, the assistant said, switching the display to show the designs. Tang Xiao reviewed the plans as they walked. Ion Cannon Destroyer, Puppet-class Drone Carrier, and Apocalypse-class Light Cruiser. Forget the first 2 for a moment. This light cruiser, 344 meters in length, I recall instructing that the construction of all large vessels be temporarily halted. Why is this being presented to me now? Hoping to test your luck. Vol 2, Chapter 228, Industrial Giants. Tang Xiao had just emerged from a meeting with Darth Plagueis, his mood already soured. Upon receiving the report from his assistant, his irritation only intensified. His demeanor was stern and imposing, a testament to his dual roles as a Sith and a leader. His presence was so commanding that it was not something the average person could withstand. The assistant, drenched in cold sweat, quickly knelt down, stammering, "No, that's not what I meant. Manager, we're not planning to construct these warships immediately. It's about technology accumulation." "Stand up and explain yourself," Tang Xiao commanded in a calm yet authoritative tone. Regaining his footing, the assistant elaborated. "The Puppet-class drone carrier is part of our strategy to build an aircraft carrier that will help us accumulate necessary technology. The Ion Cannon Destroyer is intended to boost our fleet's firepower, and the Apocalypse-class light cruiser is designed for." Before he could finish, Tang Xiao interjected, "Let me guess, this proposal wasn't put forward by Qi Jianjun, was it?" The assistant, head bowed, replied softly, "No, it was submitted by Carls Wharton from the Supreme Command. His views seemed to conflict with Professor Qi's." Tang Xiao's response was a cold smile. "So, we have internal factions within the Fourth Civilization now? It's fine to have differing opinions, but to directly oppose the strategic plan I've established? Does Carls Wharton believe my decision to halt the development of large warships is a mistake? No, I don't think he meant to." The assistant's voice trailed off as he was once again overwhelmed by anxiety. "Convey my message to Carls Wharton. As punishment, he will be confined for a week. Should he repeat his offense, he will face harsher consequences. That's all," Tang Xiao declared before departing. "Understood," the assistant called out to Tang Xiao's retreating figure. In his office, after reviewing the urban development strategy proposed by the Minister of the Interior, Daphne Clement, Tang Xiao turned his attention to a waiting communication request. He connected to the call, and the holographic projection of Francis Underwood materialized. Francis bowed respectfully before speaking. "Finis Valen is organizing a trade summit on the planet Ariadu. This summit will gather the galaxy's major corporate giants and other influential entities. Its goal is to mediate current disputes, foster dialogue, and steer the Galactic Republic back on course." A sneer formed on Tang Xiao's lips. "This meeting won't yield any significant outcomes. Base our diplomatic strategy on the main sentiments expressed by the Trade Alliance at the summit. My only demand is that our industrial capabilities become more widely recognized. We should not limit ourselves to the black market. We need to secure orders through official channels." "Do you believe this meeting will be a triumph for the trade union?" Francis inquired. "Perhaps, perhaps not. However, what you must remember is..." Tang Xiao gestured across his neck with his thumb, a clear warning. Francis nodded, understanding the implication, then added, "Schiff Palpatine has once again suggested that we join the Galactic Council. I believe he's serious this time." Tang Xiao nodded in agreement. "His plan is coming to fruition. If he intends to impeach Phoenix Valorum and take his place, he'll need a substantial number of votes. By continuing to demonstrate our support, Palpatine will eventually extend an olive branch to us. The support of the Cyclops is crucial, and currently, our relations with them are strong. However, I believe Palpatine is counting on the votes of other factions as well." "Such as," Tang Xiao prompted, "planets like Quart, Rendili, and Corellia. The backing of these old industrial planets and the massive industrial giants they represent is essential," Francis explained with a serious tone. "But we must understand that these alliances are not easily forged." The old industrial planets have always looked down upon other political entities in the galaxy, choosing not to engage in factional struggles. They are confident that regardless of the galaxy's shifting dynamics, their status remains unassailable. Their involvement in politics is driven solely by the desire to protect their interests. Tang Xiao reflected for a moment before speaking. If my assumptions are correct, Palpatine has already initiated his plans targeting these industrial titans. My knowledge on this matter isn't exhaustive, but I have a grasp of the overall strategy. In Palpatine's vision for his empire, he believes that having one industrial giant on his side is sufficient, and he has chosen Quat. Francis nodded in understanding. So, does this mean Rendelli and Corellia are being sidelined? Corellia will manage, Tang Xiao explained with a slight smile. The Corellian system boasts 5 uniquely habitable planets, forming a robust and comprehensive system in their own right. Industry is just one facet of their strength. Even with Palpatine as Emperor, Corellia possesses the means to maintain its status. So you see the picture. I understand what needs to be done, Francis replied. I might employ some subtle strategies next, and I believe 2 individuals on Corellia could prove instrumental. Dryden Voss of the Crimson Dawn and Mrs. Pixie of the White Worm? That's fine. You can approach them. Currently, my relations with them are quite favorable, Tang Xiao responded. Leveraging them to lay the groundwork early is a wise move. I should also mention that the Corellian system's leadership harbors a strong desire for independence, a political inclination they've kept well concealed. In contrast, their political leanings generally favor the idea of a unified galactic power. Among the 3, Lindili behaves most like a traditional businessman. This information is invaluable, Francis noted. And what of Yuri Orlov? Tang Xiao inquired with a hint of concern. Francis shook his head. No, the Jedi Order has been closely monitoring him. Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi seems to harbor a deep-seated animosity towards Yuri, channeling all his frustration into his case. As a result, Yuri was sentenced to life imprisonment. So, the mediation efforts on Celia Planet were unsuccessful? Tang Xiao asked, his smile carrying a deeper meaning. Francis returned the smile. I believe Vitaly Olaf might have more insights on this. He's been tirelessly working these past few months, visibly worn from his efforts. But don't worry. With Baron Zemo's plan in motion, we're all preparing for it. Yuri should be released within the next 6 months. P.S. In reality, the Quat power dock is inspired by Germany's Krupp, while Corellia bears resemblance to California in the United States. Vol 2, Chapter 229, Taking Advantage, Jabba. In the outer reaches of the Milky Way, on the desert planet of Tatooine, a cloaked figure made his way into a pub in Mos Eisley. The establishment was already teeming with bounty hunters, their faces hardened by countless battles. Upon the stranger's entrance, the lively chatter ceased, and dozens of eyes fixed on him with intense scrutiny. Without a word, the man approached the bar, his movements deliberate. He placed a few oopie coins on the counter and murmured, "A glass of sposh." The bartender slid a glass filled with blue fluorescent liquid towards him. He grasped the glass, took a generous gulp, and then, with a dramatic flourish, smashed it onto the floor. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the pub, and droplets of the unfinished drink splattered in all directions. The atmosphere shifted palpably. The bounty hunters and mercenaries previously seated rose in unison, their expressions morphing into ones of hostility as they encircled the cloaked figure. Their breathing became labored, a tangible sign of the tension that filled the air. Yet, no brawl ensued. Instead, they simply stood there, a ring of menacing figures, as the man finally lifted his hood to reveal his face. He appeared gentle, almost delicate, with glasses perched on his nose, but his expression was anything but. It was one of grim determination. Jabba has decided to pay only a quarter of our bounty, he announced, his voice steady despite the hostile crowd. He claims the remainder will only be paid upon the capture or elimination of Ghidorah. The response was immediate and furious. The room erupted with curses and shouts of outrage. That slimy worm, may he choke on his own deceit. Only a quarter of the bounty after all we've endured on this forsaken planet? My brother's ship was destroyed by Black Sun's forces. This pittance isn't enough to support his widow. The air was thick with anger as the bounty hunters and mercenaries vented their frustrations, slamming fists on tables and shattering more glasses. They had all been hired by Jabba to wage war against Ghidorah. When Broderick Stone, a notorious figure employed by Ghidorah, had the audacity to rob Jabba's Bounty Nightfly during a shuttle race, Jabba, in a fit of rage, had commanded his bounty hunters to target Ghidorah with relentless fury. However, these bounty hunters operated on a transactional basis. Their loyalty to Jabba extended only as far as the next paycheck. They were not bound by long-term contracts, but were instead temporary hires, called upon as and when Jabba required their services. This arrangement meant they did not take on jobs that conflicted with Jabba's interests, maintaining a semblance of allegiance. The crux of the issue lay in Jabba's response to Broderick Stone's provocation. In his anger, Jabba had offered a substantial bounty for the destruction of Ghidorah's assets. This incentive had driven the bounty hunters and mercenaries to almost level the port of Mos Esper, Ghidorah's stronghold, and patrol the space around Tatooine like predators, eagerly attacking any target that emerged. Their actions had caused widespread collateral damage, affecting civilian properties and vessels, and in their frenzy, they did not hesitate to claim innocent lives if it meant securing their bounty. Before Jabba, the cost of these bounties had ballooned to an astronomical sum. He found himself in a quandary. His own territory had been ravaged in the pursuit of Ghidorah, and now he was faced with the absurdity of paying for the privilege of its destruction, only to then finance its reconstruction. Moreover, despite the vast expenditure, Ghidorah remained at large, her whereabouts a mystery. Jabba could only be certain of one thing: Ghidorah was still somewhere on Tatooine, eluding his grasp. The situation had become quite absurd. Jabba had spent a considerable sum attempting to eliminate Ghidorah, yet Ghidorah remained unscathed and content. In his efforts to assassinate Ghidorah, Jabba had inadvertently caused damage to his O.N. territories, which he then had to spend even more to repair. The more Jabba pondered over this, the more resentful he became, leading him to concoct various excuses to default on his payments. This turn of events diverged significantly from the original storyline, where Tatooine experienced little turmoil. In the original narrative, after Ghidorah survived the assassination attempt by Hedge, he retreated to Nasada. The conflict between him and Jabba did not escalate as it has now. Ghidorah remained in hiding for several years, and after Hege's death, reconciled with Jabba, becoming his subordinate. Jabba's success in aiding Hege's escape from the assassination attempt had earned him Hege's secret support, and even after Hege's demise, Sidious paid little attention to Jabba. Consequently, Jabba thrived in Tatooine, gaining enough influence to sway the fleets of the warring factions during the Civil War, should they need to traverse Hutt space. However, the current circumstances were markedly different. With Tang Xiao supporting Ghidorah, Tatooine was plunged into chaos, affecting even the crucial Bang-Ta-Ye shuttle racing competition, a key interest of Jabba's. Ghidorah proved elusive, engaging in guerrilla warfare across the planet, leaving Jabba desperate to capture and personally eliminate him. Furthermore, Tang Xiao's intervention in warning Hedge about the assassination attempt had significantly elevated his standing in Hege's esteem. This left Jabba, who also warned Hege but did so later, appearing to have ulterior motives. As for Hege's financial support for Jabba, it was now being funneled into constructing the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship, a project once again initiated by Tang Xiao. In an effort to alleviate some of the pressure on Ghidorah, who was secretly fortifying his position in Tatooine and engaging in extortion against the Jawas, Baron Helmut Zemo took action against Jabba. Previously, bounty hunters and mercenaries would have had no choice but to begrudgingly accept Jabba's defaults on payments, given his formidable power. However, Baron Zemo's influence had changed the dynamics. Posing as an ordinary mercenary in Tatooine, Zemo, with his sharp intellect and persuasive eloquence, quickly became a respected figure among the less cerebral mercenaries, serving as their strategic advisor. Zemo skillfully stirred discontent among the bounty hunters and mercenaries towards Jabba, inciting them to the point of rebellion. Amidst the growing unrest, Zemo, with a sly smile, stood up and announced his departure to the gathered crowd, declaring he would cover the cost of their drinks for the evening. He tossed a bag of Upi coins onto the bar, generously scattering them without a second thought. The mercenaries were taken aback. "Brother Zemo, what's going on? I thought you were saving up for a new spaceship engine," one asked, puzzled. "Brother Zemo, please, if someone's giving you trouble, let us know. My red-toothed Barry here will take care of them," another offered, ready for confrontation. Zemo simply replied, "Tatooine is no longer the place for us. It's time to move on." And with that, he walked out, leaving a trail of confusion and curiosity in his wake. Vol 2, Chapter 230, Three Cloaks. In a dimly lit tavern, the air was thick with the scent of alcohol and sweat. Mercenaries, known for their bravery and ruthlessness, had just brought Zemo back, ensuring even the money bag he'd left behind was returned to him. These men were fiercely loyal to their own code, their ferocity usually unleashed on those unfortunate enough to be their targets. "Speak clearly, Brother Zemo," one of the mercenaries urged. Zemo sighed, a hint of reluctance in his voice. "All right, since you're so curious, I'll share a story with you," he began, prompting the room to fall silent, every ear tuned to his tale. There was once a manor overseen by two powerful figures, a man and a woman. The man, wealthier of the two, harbored ambitions to seize the woman's share and gain sole control. However, the woman was no pushover, making his task far from simple. Together, they organized agricultural product exhibitions, generating substantial income and intertwining their interests deeply, complicating any separation. The man plotted to eliminate the woman, but lacked a pretext. His solution involved the agricultural fair they co-managed. By sabotaging the event, he could blame her and justify his actions, all while avoiding suspicion as the fair's major stakeholder. To execute his plan, the man sought an alliance with a bank, whose owner also eyed the lucrative farming sector. The bank agreed to back the man's takeover, provided he could eliminate the woman. Thus, the man orchestrated the fair's destruction, pinning the blame on the woman and rallying forces against her. "But consider this," Zemo paused, addressing the mercenaries directly. "Why would the woman provoke a man more powerful than herself? It's akin to challenging someone far stronger, futile and reckless." The mercenaries nodded, absorbing the logic in Zemo's words. However, the man's efforts to kill the woman on his farm failed, allowing her to escape. As time passed and his funds dwindled, he found himself unable to pay his hired killers. Turning to the bank for support, he was rebuffed. The woman was still alive, and no payment would be forthcoming. "What do you think the man did next?" Zemo asked, a rhetorical question hanging in the air. "Keep chasing the woman," a bounty hunter suggested, only to be met with disdainful looks and quickly retract his words. Continuing the pursuit would only bleed him dry, with no guarantee of success. His only option was to sell his assets for a loan from the bank, effectively handing control to the bank owner and abandoning his workers to their fate. "But have you considered why the woman managed to escape?" Zemo posed, his tone laced with mystery. "Why?" the crowd murmured in unison. "Because she sought the aid of another company's boss," Zemo revealed, eliciting a collective gasp. "The fate of the farm ultimately lies not with its visible leaders, but with the powers behind them. Those at the top care little for the plight of the farmhands," Zemo concluded, standing up. "So you see, this farm is no place for our kind of fun. Let's move on." A mercenary, struck by a sudden realization, exclaimed, "Ah, so the male boss is Gia," but was abruptly silenced by a slap, sending him crashing under the table. At that moment, Red Fang Barry, a mercenary of notable size, inquired, "Then, must these workers leave as well?" "Everyone comes," Zemo responded, signaling the end of their stay. With a shared understanding, the mercenaries prepared to depart, their minds heavy with the implications of Zemo's tale. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where desperation often drove many to the brink of survival, a group of mercenaries found themselves in a dire situation. "There's no need for anyone to die of hunger when the galaxy is filled with places to beg for food," Zemo replied with a lightness that belied the gravity of their predicament. "Wait, Brother Zemo, I don't want to go, and I haven't got the money, so why should I go?" Barry's voice roared with a mix of fear and frustration. "Yes! Yes!" echoed the agreement from the surrounding mercenaries, their voices a chorus of desperation. "Brother Zemo, please think of something," they pleaded. A slight smile played at the corner of Baron Zemo's mouth, though his sigh was heavy with a sense of helplessness. "It's not that there are no solutions. It's just that we need to stand united. What can you do? Just tell us, the crowd urged, their desperation palpable. As long as it gets me the money, I'm willing to do anything. Zemo's expression turned grim, yet there was a cunning glint in his eyes as he spoke. Reasoning with someone like Jabba is futile, and leaving this place isn't an option. The galaxy is vast. If we leave today, bounty hunters will arrive tomorrow to take over our business. So, he paused, letting his gaze sweep over the crowd before continuing. Jabba wants to blockade Tatooine and prevent any ships from delivering supplies to Ghidorah. Well, we'll simply trap Jabba in his own game. No money, no unsealing. We'll negotiate once he settles his debts. And don't worry about Jabba. If he can't pay us, who else would hire him? Blockade Tatooine? The mercenaries exchanged looks of disbelief and concern. Can we really do that? They murmured among themselves. Baron Zemo, sensing their doubt, reached into his cloak and placed a black envelope on the table. The envelope bore a menacing skull emblem, pierced by a sword. A black ship. It's a black ship's mark. Does the black ship agree to this plan? They whispered in awe. Nonsense. The black ships are the fiercest, and Jabba likely owes them the most, someone shouted, the realization dawning on them. With the black ship on our side, we'll face no problems, another exclaimed, confidence growing within the group. Let's show Jabba the consequences of his actions, Baron Zemo declared, feigning pride. He stood, tossing a bag of Oopi coins into the air, and announced, "Drinks are on me today. Everyone celebrate." A resounding cheer filled the room as the mercenaries embraced the plan with newfound vigor. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Milky Way, in the outer ring of the galaxy, a cloaked figure tread cautiously through a village on the planet Celia. Celia was a world that prided itself on preserving its natural ecological environment. Its unique scenery was untouched by the ravages of technology, and its lack of beasts meant that its residents could wander at night without fear. Yet, the man in the cloak moved with utmost caution, skillfully avoiding the patrolling Yalek's cavalry by sticking to the shadows of the trees. He made his way to a wooden house, knocking twice shortly and once long on the window. The window opened silently, and he slipped inside. The room was dimly lit by oil lamps, revealing an old woman lying on the bed, her groans of pain filling the air. "Mr. K, please, you must save my mother," a middle-aged man begged, his voice laced with desperation. The cloaked figure, known as Mr. K, assessed the situation quickly. "Acute cholecystitis. She needs surgery immediately," he declared with a decisive tone, ready to take action. Vol 2, Chapter 231, War Again. In the midst of a tense discussion, a cloaked man addressed the concerns of a middle-aged woman regarding the urgent need for surgery. "The choice is yours, but time is of the essence. Whether you opt for surgery or seek help from the village doctor, we must act quickly. I'll administer an antibiotic and a painkiller to ease her discomfort for now," he said with urgency. After a moment of contemplation, the middle-aged man made a decisive choice. "Let's proceed with the surgery. Take Mother away," he declared. "My vehicle is parked just outside the village, hidden from the patrol's eyes," the cloaked man informed them. With haste, the family carried the ailing woman out through the back door, skillfully avoiding the patrolling cavalry. They reached the outskirts of the village, where a hover car, cleverly concealed in the bushes, awaited them. The man in the cloak revealed the vehicle, ushered everyone inside, and they silently departed. Their destination was a hidden cave, which housed a surprisingly advanced hospital behind a disguised entrance. The facility was equipped with state-of-the-art medical technology, including 5 Bacta tanks lined up in readiness. Inside, a team of nurses and doctors attended to patients, supported by 2 medical robots. The elderly woman was promptly placed on the operating table, and a medical robot administered anesthesia through a breathing mask. The surgery began without delay. Once the operation was underway, the cloaked man stepped outside the cave, gazing into the distance. He removed his hood, revealing a young yet weather-beaten face. Vitaly Olaf stood there, his hair unkempt, his chin covered in stubble, and his lake-blue eyes sunken yet piercing. The surgery concluded half an hour later, and the middle-aged man, Celia, who stood 2 meters tall, knelt before Vitaly, expressing his gratitude. Vitaly quickly assisted him to his feet, reassuring him, "Don't worry. After the surgery, the medical robot will place your wife in a Bacta tank for further recovery. By tomorrow, her surgical scars will have healed completely. However, it's crucial that you keep this a secret. If the presbytery were to find out, your family could be in danger. I will. Thank you so much, the middle-aged man said, tears streaming down his face. Vitaly nodded, his gaze averted, burdened by the knowledge that while he was saving this man's wife, he was also entangling their family in the looming shadow of war. As Vitaly looked out at the serene landscape, his thoughts drifted to the night he learned of his brother Yuri Orlov's capture by the Jedi. Fueled by rage, he had grabbed an assault rifle and stormed off to Coruscant, intent on confronting the Jedi Order. However, his plan was thwarted when Glory Judith, the black female pilot, delivered him to Tang Xiao like a mere package. Tang Xiao had calmly assured Vitaly of his commitment to saving Yuri, despite the complexities involving the Jedi Order. Initially, Vitaly had been skeptical, suspecting Tang Xiao of evading responsibility, but Tang Xiao's subsequent actions, including summoning Baron Helmut Zemo, had changed Vitaly's perspective. From that night forward, Vitaly's respect for Tang Xiao and his unassuming yet formidable ally, Baron Helmut Zemo, grew. Zemo, often overlooked due to his modest demeanor and glasses, had proven to be a pivotal figure in Vitaly's life, reshaping his understanding of loyalty and the intricate dance of power and resistance. The situation was dire. Baron Zemo, with a cold and calculating mind, meticulously analyzed the political and social landscapes of the Celia planet, the Jedi Knights, the Galactic Republic, and the myriad of forces entangled within. From this analysis, he crafted a plan of devastating precision, a plan designed to engulf Celia in the flames of war. This was not a plan born of whimsy but of necessity, for it was believed that only through such drastic measures could Yuri Orlov be saved. The cost, however, was staggering, potentially resulting in the loss of tens or even hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of lives. Vitaly, caught in a haze of spice and fleeting pleasures, found himself waking up to a morning after filled with regret and the company of several women from various species, including humans, Twi'leks, and even a Farron. It was a wake-up call that steered him towards a decisive path. Aligning with Baron Zemo's intricate plan, Vitaly shifted his operations on Celia. Instead of the usual arms smuggling, he began to distribute medical supplies, holographic players, pesticides, fertilizers, and various industrial products. These were not the tools of war but of life, aimed at enhancing the living standards of Celia's primitive villages. However, the peace on Celia was hanging by a thread. The influential Jedi Master Gi-Adi-Mundi's support for the technical movement led by Elder Dole Femi Bonmi was met with severe opposition. The elder found himself under house arrest by the Presbyterian Church, his movement stifled. In a misguided attempt to aid their cause, the notorious gangster Yvonne Mon and his underlings orchestrated the kidnapping of Master Mundi's daughter, threatening the Jedi Master to secure Yuri Orlov's release. This reckless act only served to escalate the situation. With the assistance of Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Master Mundi was able to rescue his daughter. Yvonne Mon, in a panic, fled to Tatooine, seeking refuge with Jabba the Hutt, too afraid to show his face again. Master Mundi, attributing the loss of life and the abduction of his daughter to Yuri Orlov, personally escorted him back to Coruscant and ensured he faced the severest of punishments. Yet, the departure of Master Mundi did not bring calm. The Presbyterian Church, initially aiming to quietly resolve the matter and heal the divisions caused by the technical movement, found itself in turmoil. Influenced by unknown parties, several elders adopted a radical stance, launching an aggressive anti-technology campaign within the church. They rallied the families of soldiers who had perished in the conflict, leveraging their grief and anger to exert pressure on the Council of Elders. This chapter of turmoil and machinations, hidden within the annals of a galaxy far, far away, reveals the complex interplay of politics, personal vendettas, and the unforeseen consequences of actions taken in desperation. Vol 2, Chapter 232, The Third Man in the Cloak. Under the influence of certain elders, the rest of the presbytery finally made a decisive move. A sweeping technological purge was initiated across the planet Celia. The presbytery declared all industrial and technological products illegal, with the use or possession of such items considered a serious crime. Although they refrained from openly targeting Elder Dole, they began to arrest and covertly execute members of the technological movement on various charges, including rioting, treason, and murder. Furthermore, the Presbytery's forces commenced house-to-house searches. Any household found with technological items was arrested en masse. During parades, members of the technology movement had distributed small technological gadgets to bystanders. These gadgets now served as evidence for the arrest of entire families. Villages and towns along the parade routes saw their residents rounded up and imprisoned. Eventually, with prisons overflowing, certain cities with high numbers of detainees were designated as special management areas, effectively turning them into prison cities. A climate of fear enveloped the entire planet. The populace was terrified, with some people even avoiding the use of wheeled objects, fearing that anything could be deemed a technological contrivance by the Presbytery's forces, leading to their arrest. Inside the Presbytery, there were those who believed the crackdown was excessive. However, driven by the vengeful families of the deceased, these elders pursued the eradication of technology from Celia with zeal, convinced of their moral righteousness. Unbeknownst to them, this mindset was their downfall. Amidst the fervor of the technological purge, a bespectacled gentleman discreetly visited the homes of the most radical elders, leaving behind substantial sums of money before departing the planet aboard a spaceship, never to return. A master of manipulation, he had fueled the extreme hatred for the technological movement among the bereaved families, then identified and influenced certain elders he deemed manipulable. Some were driven by greed, others by fanaticism, but all were tools in his scheme. With the combined efforts of these elders and the grieving families, the purge gained momentum. The greedy elders saw their influence within the Presbytery grow, while the fanatical elders saw their political dreams realized. The families of the deceased found a way to channel their sorrow. Everything proceeded according to plan. At this juncture, Vitaly Orlov returned to planet Celia. Unbeknownst to him, he was a pawn in Baron Zemo's grand strategy. Zemo knew Vitaly's principles would never allow him to engage in arms smuggling, so he had Vitaly smuggle in medical supplies, entertainment items, and other quality-of-life improvements instead. Vitaly's efforts even led to the establishment of underground hospitals treating various diseases clandestinely. These seemingly minor acts were, in reality, not so challenging for a civilization that had reached the interstellar age to carry out unbeknownst to a medieval-level society. What Vitaly brought to Celia were medical equipment, medicine, and food, but what he inadvertently exported was the spark of war, and Vitaly found himself unable to resist this tide. Such was the cunning of Helmut Zemo. With every life Vitaly saved and every technological item he introduced, planet Celia edged closer to conflict. And once war erupted, in the grand tapestry of conflicts that have spanned the galaxy, the battle in which a mere technical maneuver decimated the formidable 100,000-strong army of the Presbyterian Church pales in comparison. Amidst the sprawling cosmos, nestled within the central ring of the Milky Way, lies the planet Ord Mantell, with its capital city, Worldport. This world, once the Galactic Republic's armory over 10,000 years ago, was forsaken following the conclusion of the Sith War. Yet, the remnants of its military installations have drawn the attention of bounty hunters and criminals alike, transforming Ord Mantell into a haven for those seeking refuge or fortune. Over millennia, Ord Mantell has evolved, boasting one of the galaxy's largest illegal casinos and serving as an underground financial hub notorious for money laundering. The planet's surface is marred by garbage dumps, and its atmosphere has been nearly obliterated due to the reliance on robotic coal yards fueled by abundant coal mines. Despite the environmental degradation, Ord Mantell thrives as a bustling hub of illicit activity, particularly in its dark casinos. On this particular evening, a figure shrouded in a black cloak approached the entrance of one of Worldport's most luxurious casinos, Sunshine. This spherical edifice stood in stark contrast to its surroundings, drawing the gaze of all who passed by. The casino's entrance was guarded by over a dozen heavily armed sentinels, their vigilant eyes scanning each patron. These guards offered a semblance of security, ensuring that within the casino's walls, patrons could gamble without fear of interference. However, what fate befell them beyond these walls remained uncertain. Patrons, dressed in their finest attire and accompanied by their companions, entered the casino with hopeful smiles, though their exits varied from joyous to despondent. The casino, unfazed by the fortunes won or lost within its walls, thrived on the constant flow of guests. Through a complex process involving neutral accounts and underground banks, the casino facilitated money laundering, converting illicit funds into seemingly legitimate earnings. This operation was made possible by the Clemente Banking Act, a piece of legislation enacted by Ord Mantell's criminal founders, which provided ample cover for such activities. Despite the Galactic Republic's oversight, corruption within its financial supervision department rendered any regulations ineffective. The cloaked figure observed the casino from afar, his disdain for its operations evident. Despite possessing the means to partake in its offerings, he chose to remain an observer. It wasn't until the early hours, as the crowd thinned and the desperate lingered, that he made his approach. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" demanded a guard, his tone sharp. The cloaked man responded with a sneer, offering no words. Instead, he drew a metal hilt from his waist, its cold touch betraying the power it concealed. Within, a kyber crystal emitted a faint whimper, as if resisting the will that sought to wield it. Yet resistance was futile against such a formidable presence. With a swift motion, a blue lightsaber extended from the hilt, its plasma blade humming steadily in the night. This unexpected display marked the beginning of an event that would soon unfold within the walls of Sunshine Casino, a place accustomed to the shadows, yet unprepared for the light about to pierce its veil. Vol 2, Chapter 233, Turmoil in the Galaxy, 33 BBY. As another year dawned in the Milky Way, the Galactic Republic found itself teetering on the brink of collapse amidst widespread turmoil. The year witnessed numerous conflicts that further destabilized the already fragile state of affairs. The planet Marathar and the Enterprise Alliance were embroiled in a dispute that escalated into the Battle of Marathar Fjord. On Tatooine, a direct confrontation erupted between Jabba and Ghidorah the Hutt, leading to chaos. Rhodia was struck by famine, while a brain plague ravaged Jabam. In a shocking turn of events, Ars Varuna, the king of Naboo, abdicated his throne amid a flurry of scandals. The Black Sun organization faced an unexpected attack from the Interstellar Banking Association, the Fourth Group, and the Enterprise Alliance, sparking conflicts on hundreds of planets simultaneously. The mysterious destruction of the planet Sojourn remained unexplained, adding to the galaxy's mysteries. Meanwhile, the planet Cilia was torn apart by a civil war between conservatives and the tech movement. The year also saw the Hakkis launching a sudden invasion against the Kali, leading to full-scale war. The Injorus sought to elevate their political and military status, adding to the galaxy's tensions. Even Coruscant, the heart of the Galactic Republic, was not spared from turmoil. Speaker Finis Valorum's position was severely undermined after a series of missteps, losing the support of the judicial fleet and becoming a figurehead without real power. His longtime supporter, Baton, faced impeachment. Amidst these crises, the Ring faction, advocating for the rights of the Outer Ring planets, gained significant momentum in the Galactic Council. Their demands for greater autonomy and rights became increasingly vocal, challenging the status quo of the Republic. In this climate of unrest, Shiv Palpatine of Naboo emerged as a figure of growing influence within the Parliament, his prestige steadily rising. As the old year gave way to the new, many across the galaxy harbored hopes for an end to the chaos, wishing for a return to peace and stability. However, these hopes seemed destined to remain unfulfilled. The conflicts of the past year were merely symptoms of deeper, more systemic issues that had yet to reach their boiling point. By 33 BBY, the main conflicts within the Galactic Republic centered around the disparities between the inner and outer ring planets and the growing power struggle between the Republic's government and the corporate giants. Trade alliances, corporate alliances, interstellar banking associations, business guilds, and technology alliances. These leading conglomerates wielded increasing influence, engaging in power and money transactions with little regard for ethics or legality. Their dominance contributed to the Republic's diminishing control over the Outer Ring planets, fueling dissatisfaction among the Ring faction members. Unbeknownst to many, the chaos and division were not merely the result of organic conflicts. Behind the scenes, these events were being manipulated by unseen forces. The corporate giants' rise to power, the unrest on the Outer Ring planets, all were part of a larger scheme orchestrated by a mastermind whose presence was as imperceptible as the curvature of the Earth to those standing upon it. When a conspiracy is vast enough, it ceases to be recognized as a conspiracy. Speaker Finis Valorum, along with many others, remained oblivious to the fact that the turmoil on the outer planets and the empowerment of corporate giants were not coincidental, but were carefully engineered to weaken the Galactic Republic and entangle the Jedi Order in an ever-expanding web of conflicts. In the midst of these conflicts, he not only proclaimed his allegiance to the Republic in Parliament, but also accelerated the taxation process of the Outer Rim planets. This could be the work of one person or two, planning and executing. They are the greatest adversaries of the Galactic Republic, the Sith, Darth Plagueis, the Moss, determined behind the schemes, and Darth Sidious, the executor. Publicly, they are known as the influential financier Black Damask II and the esteemed Parliament member, Senator Palpatine. As the old year gave way, under their manipulation, the Galactic Republic was inching closer to its downfall. In the Galactic Republic's capital, Coruscant, in the year 33 BBY, a meeting was taking place in the office of Speaker Phoenix Valorum. Alongside him were Deputy Speaker Botan and Senator Palpatine from Naboo. They were engaged in a subdued discussion. I hope this business summit will foster a consensus between us, the Trade Federation, and the Corporate Alliance. Senator Palpatine, what are your thoughts? Phoenix Valorum inquired. Palpatine, with his ever-present warm smile, responded, initiating dialogue is certainly beneficial. I've used some connections to relay our intentions to the Trade Federation's governor, and they seem inclined to participate. However, to progress with the Outer Rim taxation bill, we must broaden the meeting's scope. Please, share your thoughts, Valorum encouraged. The Corporate Alliance will definitely attend. Moreover, we can extend invitations to major entities like the Interstellar Banking Clan, the Commerce Guild, and various smaller organizations. I believe the Galactic Republic still possesses significant influence over these groups, Palpatine explained. That sounds excellent. Let's proceed as you suggest. We should finalize the summit's location and date as soon as possible. You've been putting in a lot of effort recently, Valorum remarked. It's merely my duty, Palpatine replied with a smile. Additionally, we'll need Deputy Speaker Botan's support. Given my limited influence within the Republic, the backing of a high-ranking official like him is crucial. Valorum turned to Botan, expressing his agreement. I share that sentiment, Botan. We've collaborated for over a decade, and you've been under considerable stress lately. It might be beneficial for you to accompany Senator Palpatine to these planets and take a break. We've thoroughly researched this summit, and we're confident it will be a success. With this experience, I believe you can smoothly complete your term and then retire. Deputy Speaker Botan, with a wry smile, replied, I'll do my best. Note 1. It's important to note that the mentioned giants are not individual enterprises, but rather conglomerates. These are joint monopolies formed by numerous companies within similar industries and markets. Vol 2, Chapter 234, 3 Kills. In a distant corner of the galaxy, the aftermath of a grim event lingered in the air. An elderly man, tall and imposing, traversed the corridors of an ancient, expansive castle. The structure was adorned with massive floor-to-ceiling windows, their panes intricately assembled into stained glass that depicted menacing motifs. In the central hall, the scene was macabre. Over a dozen bodies lay in a precise arrangement, their throats slit, their lifeblood soaking into a mysterious magical circle etched into the ground. It was unmistakably a site of cult worship. Without warning, the tranquility was shattered as the glass exploded inward. A group of more than a dozen figures, donning helmets crafted from animal bones and exhibiting muscular yet pallid corpse-like complexions, charged with a ferocious howl. The old man merely shook his head in disdain. No thoughts, no feelings, no pain. You're less than machines. What purpose do you serve in this state? He mused aloud. Unfazed, he casually opened his shirt and drew a lightsaber from his waist. This was no ordinary lightsaber. Its hilt was fashioned with a crank, lending it an air of classical elegance. But the elegance was lost on his mindless assailants, who, devoid of any appreciation for such nuances, lunged at him in a frenzied attempt to tear him apart. With a cold sneer, the old man ignited his lightsaber, its blade of vibrant green. He assumed a poised stance, the tip of his blade pointing downward in the Makashi style, the second form of lightsaber combat. He moved with a grace that belied his age, weaving through his attackers with the ease of a dancer performing an ancient courtly dance. Though his movements appeared leisurely, his assailants couldn't lay a finger on him. To them, he was but a ghost, his lightsaber striking with the lethal precision of a venomous serpent. In less than 30 seconds, the last of his attackers lay defeated. His prowess was undeniable. He was a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. After dispatching his foes with ease, the old man ventured deeper into the castle, arriving at a chilling throne made of animal bones. It stood empty, a silent testament to his quarry's absence. He sighed, a mix of resignation and sorrow in his voice. "It's been more than 10 years, Komari Wosa, my former apprentice. You still refuse to confront me. It seems I won't have the satisfaction of ending your tragic existence myself." He then activated a communicator and spoke with an air of detachment. "Issue a bounty to all hunters. Whoever eliminates the leader of Bando Gosa, Komari Wosa, will receive 5 million credit points. This bounty is especially dedicated to Jango Fett, the galaxy's finest bounty hunter." The sum was staggering, equivalent to the cost of 2 CR-90 frigates, a fortune by any standard. Meanwhile, on another planet, a third act of violence unfolded. A figure with blood-red skin adorned with black stripes that extended from his face across his body and crowned with barbed protrusions on his head moved among a field of corpses. His blood-red eyes glowed with a murderous intent. This was a Zabrak, unmistakable in his ferocity. The scene was a spaceship repair shop, usually bustling with at least 300 workers and guards. Now, it was a graveyard. The instrument of death was a unique lightsaber, wielded by the Zabrak. Unlike conventional lightsabers, his was double-bladed, emitting a sinister blood-red glow from both ends. Approaching the console, he thrust his lightsaber through it, the intense heat instantly reducing it to molten metal, obliterating any data it contained. With his mission accomplished, he sheathed his lightsaber, casually displacing the head of a fallen man that had been resting on the table. He then placed a communicator in its stead, knelt on one knee, and initiated a transmission. A figure cloaked in shadows appeared in the holographic projection, setting the stage for the next chapter of this interstellar saga. Under the shadow of his hood, a figure with a hooked nose and rin-clad face bowed respectfully. "Darth Sidious, my lord, I have eliminated one of the Vigos of the Black Sun, Vigo Tefaris." "You have done well, Darth Maul. I trust you left no survivors?" Sidious's voice, distorted and chilling, filled the space between them. "I conducted a thorough scan of the entire factory with a drone. Not a single soul escaped," Darth Maul replied, his eyes gleaming with a scarlet, bloodthirsty light. "I've received news that Vigo Sidenian has also met his end. With the recent eliminations, only 4 of the 9 Vigos of the Black Sun remain," Sidious chuckled darkly. "The Black Sun are nothing but a swarm of cowardly insects. Once they realized they couldn't withstand direct assassination attempts against their leaders, they began to scatter. I've visited several of their former strongholds, only to find them deserted," Maul said through clenched teeth, his expression fierce. This was to be expected. No organization can withstand the combined assault of the Trade Federation, the Corporate Alliance, and the Interstellar Banking Clan, especially not when the Sith are involved. Sidious laughed sinisterly. "Do you require me to deliver the final blow?" Darth Maul inquired. "Patience. I have a few more targets for you to eliminate first. Meanwhile, I'll position our pawns within the Black Sun. By the time their leader, Alexei Garin, is eliminated, the largest criminal syndicate in the galaxy will fall under my control," Sidious explained with confidence. "That fool Garin has no idea that their hidden fortress on Lal Thiel has been under our surveillance." With a cruel smile playing at the corner of his mouth, Sidious turned off the communication device and gazed out at the industrial area of Coruscant, teeming with factories. The fourth group? I must continue to work hard, and as your apprentice, I cannot afford to lag behind. He initiated another communication, and a Neimoidian appeared on the screen. Despite his unattractive, flat-faced appearance, the Neimoidian carried himself with an air of flamboyance. Tall and imposing, he had a serious expression and an aura of authority. By Neimoidian standards, he was considered quite handsome. Upon seeing Darth Sidious, the Neimoidian's surprise was evident. Only someone of significance would know my secret frequency. But who might you be? I am here to discuss a potential alliance. Trade Federation Viceroy, Newt Gunray, Sidious said, his voice deep and compelling. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, the future Viceroy of the Trade Federation, Newt Gunray, a pivotal figure in the twilight years of the Galactic Republic. Vol 2, Chapter 235, Fresh Blood. Cooperation? Humph, you think someone as secretive as you can talk about cooperation with me? What a joke. Who are you anyway? Reveal your identity, and how did you get my secret communication frequency? Newt Gunray demanded, his voice laced with suspicion. Darth Sidious spread his arms wide, his tone grandiose. I represent a formidable force, the will of the dark side. The entire galaxy lies within our grasp. We are the future of the galaxy, and the Republic will be utterly obliterated by the dark side. Taking a step back, Newt Gunray's skepticism was palpable. I have no interest in your clandestine societies and enigmatic organizations. What are you trying to achieve? Be aware that my time is valuable, and I refuse to squander it on such matters. Oh, is that so? Sidious sneered, mocking Newt Gunray's feeble attempt at tracking his communication. It matters not. Let them trace it. I could even leave the communicator here, giving you ample time to locate it. Newt Gunray's expression hardened. You. By the way, do you still fancy that pilot bird? Sidious inquired abruptly, changing the subject. Newt Gunray's demeanor shifted at the mention. Indeed, he had once received a pilot bird, a gift sent directly to his scarcely known address. In Neimoidian society, the pilot bird, especially a red-spotted one, symbolized wealth and power due to its rarity and endangered status. Proudly displaying the bird, Newt Gunray saw it as an omen of his forthcoming success. That bird, was it you who sent it? He asked, realization dawning on him that if this person could send a bird, then a bomb or virus could just as easily follow. Did you like it? Sidious asked, ignoring the question about his motives. What do you want? Money? Newt Gunray asked, his voice deep and serious. Money, Mr. Gunray, I have been patient enough. Please, do not play the fool, Sidious chided, raising his hand and slowly clenching it. Before Newt Gunray's eyes, the rare red-spotted peelet bird in its cage appeared to be crushed by an unseen force. It struggled violently before its bones were audibly crushed. Newt Gunray was stunned, unable to comprehend how such a thing could happen. Then he felt an invisible force constricting his own neck, rendering him breathless. He struggled in vain, but fortunately, the pressure ceased after a few seconds. Gasping for air, Newt Gunray felt as though he had narrowly escaped death. I have been monitoring you, Newt Gunray, including your actions. For instance, Vidal King, the former MP for Naboo, was a vocal critic of the trade union, demanding a new trade agreement for the plasma mine. Curiously, how did he die? Sidious's tone was icy. How do you know about that? Newt Gunray blurted out, unable to contain his shock. Join me, and on the ashes of the Republic, a mighty empire of the dark side will rise, and you, Newt Gunray, will become an elder of this empire, Sidious enticed. And what would be my price? Newt Gunray, now somewhat convinced, inquired. Nothing, for the time being. What we need first is complete trust, not mutual suspicion. And as a token of this new partnership, allow me to congratulate you, the newly appointed governor of the trade union, Newt Gunray. With that, Darth Sidious ended the communication. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the Milky Way's expansion area, on the barren planet of Injori in the Fairway Star region, events were spiraling out of control. Injori was a desolate world, with a harsh natural environment where deserts covered 60% of its surface. Lacking in both mineral and agricultural resources, and situated far from the hyperspace lanes, 35,000 light-years from the core of the Milky Way, it held no strategic value. Yet, it was this very harshness that gave rise to a terrifying race. The Injoli, who evolved from a species of cold-blooded creatures resembling lizards known for their ferocity. The Injoli people, a race shaped by the harsh realities of their environment, have a history deeply rooted in survival through any means necessary, including plunder. Standing at an impressive height of at least 2.4 meters, their resilience is evident in their tough skin, impervious to knives and significantly resistant to the high temperatures of energy weapons. Their diet is as rugged as their home planet, ranging from raw meat and carrion to fruits and bark, showcasing their adaptability. The Injoli planet, characterized by its unforgiving environment, supports a relatively small population. Spread across the planet are more than 100 tribes, with 5 major cities serving as the centers of Injoli civilization. Estimating the total population is challenging, with numbers ranging between 200,000 and 1.5 million individuals. It wasn't until 500 years ago that the Galactic Republic's exploration companies stumbled upon the Injoli people, who were then in the midst of a slave society and had only recently mastered steel production. However, the subsequent half-millennium witnessed a remarkable transformation. The exact catalyst remains a mystery, though it's speculated that encounters with criminals or smugglers who met their end as Injoli meals might have played a role. Regardless, the Injoli civilization leaped forward, achieving interstellar capabilities and voluntarily joining the Galactic Republic. At the time, the Republic, preoccupied with the dispute over Malestar, paid little attention to this new addition. The Injoli planet, situated 35,000 light-years from the core area and isolated from hyperspace channels, seemed of little strategic value. The Republic's indifference, however, did not deter the Injoli. Seizing the opportunity, they ventured into the galaxy, becoming mercenaries and bounty hunters in its most tumultuous regions. The Injoli's formidable strength and combat prowess set them apart in the galaxy, with few races capable of matching them in hand-to-hand combat. Their reputation for being bloodthirsty and cruel only added to their fearsome image. Yet, their ambitions were not solely focused on conquest. Demonstrating a surprising level of frugality, they would rather consume sewer rats than spend unnecessarily, saving every penny to invest in hyperdrives and an arsenal of weapons. For the Injoli, joining the Galactic Republic was not about seeking acceptance or integration. It was about accessing a galaxy-wide cafeteria, a vast expanse filled with opportunities and challenges. This strategic move marked the beginning of a new chapter for the Injoli people, one where they could leverage their unique strengths in a broader interstellar arena. Vol 2, Chapter 236, Injori, Star Wars: The Fourth Scourge. A cargo ship approached the planet Injori, making its descent into the capital city of Tol Kachorn. This city, constructed from an abundance of logs and animal bones, featured a cleared site where over a dozen worn spaceships were parked. As the cargo ship touched down on the flat terrain, its hatch swung open to reveal a veritable mountain of weapons and ammunition inside. The Injori locals, who had gathered early to witness the arrival, erupted into loud cheers upon seeing the cargo. Their excitement quickly turned into chaos as they swarmed the cargo hold, each person scrambling to claim the weapons for themselves. Amidst the pandemonium, the Injori, with their formidable strength resembling humanoid tanks, caused the Oro-class cargo ship to shake violently under their frenzied looting. From the cockpit of the cargo ship, 3 individuals emerged. Leading them was Zam, an Injori man from the 4th group, recognized for his previous intrusion into the Nasada sales center. Accompanying him was the product manager who had received him, followed by a man with an oriental appearance, distinguished by a long scar across his face. Despite his intimidating presence, he seemed almost harmless in the face of the aggressive Injori crowd. The sight of 2 humans among them incited the Injori's anger. "Who gave you the courage to set foot on our sacred planet?" they bellowed, their hostility palpable. "Ha ha ha! Fresh prey has arrived!" 2 of the Injori charged forward, intent on tearing the humans apart. However, before they could reach their targets, Zam let out a thunderous roar and stepped forward. With 2 swift punches, he sent the attackers crashing to the ground. "Everyone, stop this madness!" he yelled, but his plea fell on deaf ears. Circling to the back of the spaceship, Zam was met with the sight of the already chaotic cargo hold, fueling his anger. Like a tank barreling into battle, he plunged into the crowd, his fists and kicks landing with devastating force, quickly subduing several looters. "Claw Guard, attack!" Zam commanded. The Injori wearing black iron armor, who had been observing from the sidelines, sprang into action. Their iron gloves, equipped with claws, made them formidable as they dove into the fray. The ensuing battle was brutal and unforgiving, with neither side showing mercy, even among compatriots. The clash was a spectacle of raw power, with flesh and blood marking the intensity of their struggle. After 10 minutes, the chaos subsided, leaving those who had scrambled for weapons beaten and subdued by the claw guards. The cargo space was left in disarray, with parts of the spacecraft's outer armor even stripped away by Injori attempting to fashion their own iron armor. Zam's expression darkened as he surveyed the aftermath. Standing before the groaning looters, he shouted, "Do you realize what you've destroyed? These are sacrifices made by your compatriots on hellish planets like Naxata, Tatu, and Lone, who endure eating bugs and mice just to save enough for these weapons and spaceships. And yet, look at your actions." His anger escalating, Zam delivered a powerful kick to one of the looters, sending him flying. "Anyone who took something, return it immediately. Any damages will be paid for by fighting on the battlefield unarmed in the next battle," he declared. The beaten Injori slowly rose, beginning to obediently gather and return the looted items. Zam, no longer paying them any attention, turned away, his mind already on the challenges ahead. Zam pointed to the 2 representatives of the 4th group and addressed the claw guards. "Remember this. These 2 individuals are our honored guests on planet Injoli. When Black G abandoned us, they were the ones who secured us a guarantee of 2 million yuan. But it was this 4th group that elevated our guarantee to 20 million yuan. They are the reason our soldiers are now equipped with armor and wield large spears. Understand? Prepare a banquet." After issuing his orders, Zamapper approached the 2 representatives with a polite demeanor. "Mr. Johnson, Mr. Shen Yuanhao, our culture on Injoli operates on the principle that the strong prey on the weak. The weak are trophies for the strong, with no chance of survival. And I," Zam declared with pride, "am the most powerful individual on the entire planet of Injoli." Shen Yuanhao, with his distinct oriental features, responded, "So you hold the highest status on planet Injoli?" Beside him, Johnson, a product manager, was visibly nervous, his legs trembling, unable to utter a word. "No, the great chief is my father," Zam replied with a sly grin. "This military purchase is crucial to the grand plans of the Injolis, necessitating my personal involvement." As they proceeded, Zam encountered an Indian who had previously been injured and was obstructing their path. Without hesitation, Zam struck the man, sending him flying, while the onlookers turned a blind eye. That evening, a lavish banquet was held in the square, where Zam, the son of the great chief of planet Injoli, warmly hosted the 2 representatives from the 4th group. The newly arranged weapons were displayed beside the square, drawing eager gazes from every Injoli present, who were barely able to restrain themselves from seizing the weapons immediately. "Planet Injoli is impoverished and small, insufficient for our needs," Zam lamented as he tore into a piece of half-cooked barbecue. Shen Yuanhao, unfazed, joined Zam in eating the barbecue and inquired, "You're purchasing weapons to engage in robbery?" Zam responded passionately, "The weak do not deserve fertile lands. Such lands should belong to the strong Injolis." Shen Yuanhao cautioned, "But if you target spaceships and caravans, especially those belonging to the Trade Union or the Interstellar Banking Association, you'll find yourself in deep trouble. And if you attempt to seize a planet, the Galactic Republic will not stand idly by." Zam scoffed. "The Galactic Republic? They won't bother with such trivial matters. We plan to seize territories and expand, a process that will take time." Shen Yuanhao frowned, puzzled by Zam's confidence. "And who gave you that idea?" With a fierce expression, Zam uttered a name, Kigo Damask II. Vol 2, Chapter 237, Competitor. Star Wars, The Fourth Scourge. Shen Yuanhao meticulously listed the inventory. "We have acquired a total of 20 Hammer-class frigates, 10 A-Pod 33 transport ships, 50,000 M8 Avenger pulse rifles, 100 million bullets, 3,000 rocket launchers, and 100,000 rockets." Additionally, we've ordered 2,000 sets of energy shields from Rosanna Heavy Engineering Company under Quat. His detailed knowledge of the equipment and their prices seemed at odds with his formidable appearance. I'm aware, but it's still not enough. We need more territory, more planets, Zam expressed his frustration. Your races in the Galactic Republic are too feeble. A single Injuli warrior can take on 100 of you. Shen Yuanhao countered, but in this galaxy, brute strength doesn't determine everything. No matter how muscular you are, you can't deflect bullets or bring down battleships from the sky. That's precisely why we sought your assistance in acquiring weapons, Zam replied gravely. You could legally migrate to other planets that are in need of population, provided you're willing to abide by their laws, Shen Yuanhao suggested, sensing a fundamental difference in worldview. The law? Ha! Zam burst into laughter. The Injoli law is to be strong, stronger, and invincibly strong. If you're powerful enough, everything belongs to you. Ha ha ha! But not all races follow the Injoli way, Shen Yuanhao pointed out. To us, all muscles are the same. Ha ha ha! Zam, unfazed, began pouring fruit wine into a large wooden barrel. Do you consider me strong? Shen Yuanhao inquired further. With just one finger, I could strike you 10 times. Zam boasted, raising a finger and shaking it as he drank. What if I were piloting a spaceship? Shen Yuanhao posed the question back. Boom! Zam set down the barrel, wiped the wine from his mouth, and declared menacingly, Otherwise, why do you think you're still able to sit here and share a meal with me? He then burst into laughter again, clapped Shen Yuanhao on the shoulder, and said, Come on! Let me introduce you to 2 individuals. He waved his hand, and shortly after, a few slaves escorted 2 Dewalonians over. Amidst the predominantly brown and green-skinned Injolis, the duo's red skin made them stand out as if they were demons among lizardmen. Shen Yuanhao had noticed them earlier in the crowd, but hadn't found the right moment to inquire. One of the Dewalonians was tall, standing at 2 meters, though still shorter than the Injolis, and was muscular. The other was considerably slimmer, adorned with abundant gold jewelry, including 2 large gold rings on his ears, and always wore a cunning smile. Allow me to introduce them. The muscular one is Homa, and the slender one is Velma. They are our esteemed guests. Thanks to them, we can leave this planet and venture into the galaxy, Zam announced. Ah, so this is a member of the 4th group, Velma sneered, approaching with a sly grin. Your group is truly affluent, raising your investment to 200 million without a second thought. You don't even consider the financial backing of Damask Holding Group beneath you. It seems you have more wealth than Black Jay. Ha ha! Shen Yuanhao immediately sensed the malice in Velma's tone. He retorted, To us, money is merely a number. As long as it's spent wisely, the amount is inconsequential. That's something beyond your comprehension. Oh, is that so? Then perhaps you should contribute an additional 20 million to the mighty Injulus. But given your wealth, adding another 40 million shouldn't be an issue, right? Velma suggested with a malevolent grin. Shen Yuanhao felt the weight of numerous expectant gazes upon him, with Zam's eyes shining with anticipation. It became clear that Velma's intentions were not only to provoke them, but also to exploit his persuasive skills to their disadvantage. He realized that if he continued to engage with him, it would only lead to significant losses. Thus, he quickly feigned an inability to hold his liquor, leaving a statement about needing to report more quotas to the leader for review, before dragging another Injoli warrior into his drinking escapades. Velma watched Shen Yuanhao with a sneer, her thoughts inscrutable. At that moment, Zam inquired, Mr. Velma, is what you've just said true? Had Shen Yuanhao been present, he would have been astounded, for it was rare for the esteemed Zam to address Velma with such respect. Velma replied with a malevolent chuckle, I've told you already. The Injoli people are formidable. The others are weak in comparison. Thus, they are eager to offer you money to spend. Do you see? That's the advantage of being powerful. As long as you grow stronger, the weak will offer more money, just like this 4th group. Zam joined in the laughter, his gaze towards Shen Yuanhao's departing figure turning unfriendly. Upon returning to the wooden house arranged for him by Zam, Shen Yuanhao was drenched in cold sweat. The mission had been progressing smoothly until the unexpected appearance of the Velma brothers, who seemed to have garnered more trust from the Injoli people than he had. More concerning was the Velma brothers' evident hostility towards him. He wasted no time in activating the secret communicator. Tang Xiao's holographic projection materialized before him. "Manager, we have a problem," Shen Yuanhao reported. Tang Xiao responded, "If I'm not mistaken, you're the accountant under Johnson, the planetary affairs representative of India Kori, correct? Where's Johnson?" "Mr. Johnson." Shen Yuanhao glanced behind him. Johnson, the former product manager, had been too intimidated to speak during the banquet and had resorted to drowning his fears in alcohol. "He's incapacitated due to drunkenness." "Very well. You will now assume responsibility for the affairs on Injoli Planet as the trade representative. What seems to be the issue?" Tang Xiao inquired. Shen Yuanhao recounted the day's events. Tang Xiao, deep in thought, sifted through his knowledge of the Star Wars universe, particularly the scant details about the Injoli people. He didn't dwell on the names mentioned, but focused on the underlying interests. After a moment, he had an epiphany. Since Black G had delegated the Injoli Planet matters to him, Velma couldn't be associated with Black G. The only other active party on Injoli Planet, stirring the war fervor among its people, had to be one of Darth Sidious's operatives. It made sense why the Velma brothers harbored such animosity towards them. Darth Sidious was aware that the Fourth Group was another asset of Darth Plagueis and wanted to prevent Plagueis's influence from growing too strong. Tang Xiao concluded, "Brother Velma is the adversary. Of this you must be certain. Your objective is to outmaneuver Brother Velma, thereby securing the trust of the Injoli people for our Fourth Group. Assistance is on its way." Vol 2, Chapter 238, 2 Powder Kegs. In the Endor system, aboard the bridge of the Honor's Mothership, a serious discussion was underway. "I'm also inclined to believe that this is not a wise decision, Manager," Ni Yongxiao stated, sitting across from Tang Xiao on the sofa. He continued, "The Injoli people are entirely irrational based on the limited information we have. They're so aggressive that they resort to cannibalism. Despite being the dominant species on planet Injuri, their population remains around 1 million. Baron Helmut Zemo's recent activities prompted Tang Xiao to consult with Ni Yongxiao, and Francis Underwood, who was in Coruscant, joined the discussion via hyperspace communication. Ni Yongxiao took a sip of wine before adding, "Even if dealing with a gangster, it's absolutely impossible to cooperate with someone who attacks their own kind. Black Gee's strategy towards the Injoli people is correct. Let them cause chaos within the Galactic Republic and then fade from history." Tang Xiao pondered for a moment. The physical prowess of the Injoli people is among the best of the galaxy's intelligent races. Notably, they have a remarkable resistance to the Force. It's no exaggeration to say they're the most physically capable race in the galaxy. It's a force I'm reluctant to forsake. But in reality, they won't appreciate the favors you extend. I've reviewed the report from Shen Yuanhao, and currently, they perceive our financial support as a sign of weakness. Even if we were to deploy space battleships to decimate their homes, they'd still see us as weak, believing that true strength lies in possessing such ships, Ni Yongxiao explained. Tang Xiao shook his head. Hige chose to abandon the Injoli because he's not lacking in strength. He can easily replace them with a stronger army cloned from Kaminoans. But our situation is different. We don't have the luxury to simply walk away. All I can think of is to leverage your formidable strength to subdue them, Ni Yongxiao said, frowning. Others have already attempted that, and they are stronger than me, so that path is not viable, Tang Xiao replied. Zam, is he the strongest individual on planet Injori? Francis, who had been quiet, suddenly inquired. Yes, and his tribe controls the capital, making it the most powerful, Ni Yongxiao confirmed. So, the Injolis haven't achieved planetary unification yet, Francis noted with a smile. Do you already have a plan? Tang Xiao asked, intrigued. It's not so much a plan as it is a direction. As usual, we'll find a weaker tribe to support, Francis proposed. Wait a minute, support? Ni Yongxiao paused, a realization dawning on him, followed by laughter. Drugs or something? They're addictive, right? I think we can work with that. After hearing the plan, Tang Xiao nodded thoughtfully. He immediately contacted Daphne Clement, the Minister of Administration, instructing, have the Ministry of Personnel send me a list of the best biologists available for awakening immediately. Okay, doing it right away, Clement responded promptly. In less than 10 minutes, a list was delivered to Tang Xiao. Reviewing the information on the light screen before him, he lightly swiped his finger across it, eventually settling on a name. This one, and include 2 more. Not bad. As time passed, the planet Injoli became a ticking time bomb. The fourth group had provided another 5 million credit points to the planet Injori and decided against further investment. Coupled with the Velma brothers' constant provocations, Zam's attitude towards the fourth group had grown increasingly indifferent. It was clear to anyone paying attention that the Injoli people's loyalty was easily swayed by whoever provided for them. After receiving a generous donation of 25 million credit points from the fourth group, the Injoli people were far from grateful. Instead, they complained about not receiving more support. Their attitude was clear. Without further assistance, the fourth group could not consider them allies. Moreover, the notion of repaying the funds was dismissed outright. However, Tang Xiao's true intentions were more complex than they appeared. Shen Yuanhao seized this opportunity to extend his influence on the planet Injoli. When Munte returned from the galaxy's edge, half a month later, he too joined the efforts, though he focused not on Zam's tribe, but on exploring the planet Injoli for potential opportunities. These maneuvers were subtle compared to the Injoli people's response to the fourth group's investment. They swiftly initiated their own ambitious projects, constructing 3 massive space stations to serve as spaceports for their dilapidated fleet and to bolster their military capabilities. Zam's tribe, leveraging the substantial cache of weapons and ammunition provided by the fourth group, managed to attract numerous neighboring tribes to their cause. Despite these significant military preparations, the Galactic Republic remained oblivious, thanks to the efforts of those with vested interests in keeping the developments on Injoli under wraps. Similarly, the planet Celia was on a warpath, albeit for different reasons. The Elders' imposition of White Terror had escalated to alarming levels, with 4 towns being designated as prison cities to detain hundreds of thousands labeled as tech prisoners, for possessing or using technological items. Despite the oppressive regime, the people's desire for technology continued to grow, fueled by Vitaly Olov's activities and contrary to the Elders' intentions. This situation was further complicated by the misrepresentation of Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi, a staunch advocate for preserving the planet's natural state, who was now vilified as a puppet of the Elders. Despite decades of service and building a reputable legacy on Cilia, Ki-Adi-Mundi's reputation was eroding. Ideally, he would have detected the brewing trouble and nipped it in the bud, but the Galactic Republic was preoccupied with more pressing issues. Amidst the brewing crises on Celia and Injoli, the Galactic Republic's attention was diverted to an upcoming event. Finis Valorum, the president of the Galactic Council, announced the organization of a Galactic Business Summit to be held on the planet Eliadu in 2 months. This summit would gather influential business entities from across the galaxy to address and resolve the commercial disputes that had plagued the Republic in recent years. The summit aimed to garner support from these organizations to pass a tax bill crucial for the Republic's competitiveness in the Outer Rim star regions. Vol 2, Chapter 239, A Busy Time. The preparations for the Eliadu Business Summit quickly became the focal point of the entire galaxy. This was because, since the Galactic Republic's complete victory over the Sith Empire 1,000 years ago and the subsequent Ruzan Reformation, the galaxy had not witnessed a business summit of such magnitude. The list of participants confirmed for the summit was a who's who of galactic influence, including the Trade Federation, the Corporate Alliance, the Interstellar Banking Clan, the Techno Union, the Commerce Guild, the Galactic Republic Senate, the Stark Hyperspace War veterans, and representatives of the Republic's judicial fleet. This diverse assembly, spanning military, business, and civilian sectors, underscored the summit's importance. Moreover, representatives from economically developed and influential planets such as Quarren, Corellia, Lundili, Makedo, Cato Neimoidia, Alderaan, and Murkana were also set to attend. High-ranking officials from the Galactic Republic would be present as well, making Eliadu the gathering place for the most powerful figures in the galaxy in 2 months' time. The decisions made at this summit were poised to shape the future of the Galactic Republic. The high stakes of the summit meant that many organizations and individuals were eager to participate, recognizing that even being seen at the event could significantly enhance their political status. However, the summit's high profile also necessitated stringent security measures. The task of orchestrating these security measures fell into the shadows, where Francis Underwood played a pivotal role. He skillfully navigated the political landscape, securing enough support to discreetly pass a motion to the leader of the Ring faction in the Senate, Senator Orn Frita of planet Linos. Senator Orn Frita then formally proposed to the Galactic Council that the Jedi Order be involved in the summit's security, specifically mentioning Master Ki-Adi-Mundi by name and citing the Jedi's successful handling of a crisis on planet Celia as a model to follow. Although the Jedi Order initially did not give much weight to this suggestion, the resurgence of the crisis on Celia highlighted the prescience of the proposal. Recognizing the galaxy's current instability and the potential for the summit to be a flashpoint, the Jedi Supreme Council of 12 decided to dispatch Master Ki-Adi-Mundi and a team of Jedi Knights to oversee security at the Eliadu Business Summit. Amidst these preparations, a seemingly minor appointment went largely unnoticed. Wilhelm Tarkin had been transferred to the position of Deputy Governor of the Sesvena sector, which included planet Eliadu, 6 months prior. Meanwhile, the Fourth Civilization was also in a flurry of activity. The proposal for Dawn Planet to join the Galactic Council was advancing, necessitating widespread preparations. This move towards political integration with the Galactic Republic meant that Francis Underwood, the nominee for Dawn Planet's counselor, needed to solidify his authority. The inclusion of Dawn Planet in the Galactic Council would also affect Tang Xiao's title, marking a significant step for the planet and its representatives. As the galaxy moved towards these monumental events, the intricate dance of politics, power, and security underscored the delicate balance upon which the future of the Galactic Republic rested. Tang Xiao's role was evolving. No longer just an administrator, he was on the path to becoming the governor of Dawn Planet. As the colony developed, his title was poised to ascend even further. It was premature to declare himself king or emperor of a fledgling colony with a population in the mere hundreds of thousands, but the trajectory was clear. In addition to his governmental duties on Dawn Planet, Tang Xiao found himself frequently dispatched on missions by Darth Plagueis. He was given coordinates to strongholds of the Black Sun, or sometimes Bando Gosa, where he was tasked with their destruction. Cloaked in black and wielding the blue Lai, saber bestowed upon him by Plagueis, Tang Xiao became a harbinger of death. The continuous confrontations hardened him, his aura chilling to the bone, his gaze unnerving to meet. This transformation underscored his lesser mastery of the Force compared to Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious. Unlike them, whose presence was perceived as benevolent and wise, Tang Xiao's image was marred by the violence he dispensed, a violence that, in truth, paled in comparison to the atrocities committed by his mentors. To deepen his connection with the Force, Tang Xiao devoted himself to meditation, finding that the serene environment of Dawn Planet enhanced his practice. There, he could sense the rhythm of life and the planet's pulse, experiences that helped cleanse the darkness from his soul. Meanwhile, under Tang Xiao's directive, the Fourth Civilization halted the construction of large warships, though technological advancements continued unabated. The completion of the large-scale Scientific Research Space Station, a project spearheaded by Professor Qi Jianjun, marked a significant milestone. This facility, equipped with state-of-the-art research tools, was designed to accelerate the development of critical technologies, including the antimatter engine, a cornerstone in the original sin of the Empire of the Sun technology tree. Professor Qi Jianjun, leveraging data from the STARS technology tree, aimed to master the antimatter engine within 2 years. This endeavor represented a leap forward for the Fourth Civilization, potentially catapulting their technological capabilities beyond current limitations. The military, too, was evolving. Under the leadership of Commander-in-Chief Xiao Guanghua, the Fourth Civilization's army introduced its first batch of armored units, the Vulture hoverbike, and the Giant Mech. These units were designed to enhance planetary security, offering flexibility and strength to protect the expanding and increasingly populous cities. Xiao Guanghua's excitement was palpable, marking a new era for the military capabilities of the Fourth Civilization. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Original Sin of the Empire of the Sun, Civilian Scientific Research Space Station. Vol 2, Chapter 240, New Gear, New Legends. In the advanced world of Star Wars, the development of a Vulture hoverbike was not a daunting task for the Fourth Civilization, especially given their proficiency with anti-gravity engines. The main engine of this motorcycle was on par with the engines used in Tatooine's Banta night shuttles, showcasing the maturity of their technology. This 4-meter-long hoverbike could achieve speeds up to 230 kilometers per hour and maintain a hover height of up to 20 meters from the ground, depending on the terrain. It was armed with an AGP-2 Storm-type fragmentation grenade launcher, though it could also be equipped with a laser gun. However, the spider mines that Tang Xiao had been eagerly anticipating were not included. According to Qi Jianjun, spider mines represented a different branch of intelligent mine technology. The combat records stored in the Vulture hoverbike's database indicated that pilots preferred to carry 3 spider mines, which could be stored in the cargo box of the hoverbike. The giant fighter armor, standing at 4.8 meters tall, was a bipedal combat suit equipped with 2 30mm caliber rapid-fire smoothbore howitzers and 2 sets of Hellfire long-range air-scattering missile launchers. It boasted a maximum walking speed of 70 kilometers per hour and was adept at navigating both off-road terrains and urban combat environments. The production of the Vulture hoverbikes had already commenced, while the giant combat armors required a specialized production line which was currently under construction. Initially, 20 Vulture hoverbikes and 2 giant combat armors were distributed to the Fourth Civilization Army. Upon receiving this new equipment, Xiao Guanghua couldn't contain his joy, spending the night in the cockpit of the giant mecha, marveling at the technological advancements. To enhance production efficiency, Tang Xiao decided to adopt a commercial approach. He established Tyron Heavy Industries, tasked with manufacturing the Vulture hoverbikes and giant combat armors. This allowed the company to recruit talent and build factories independently, making it more agile than the centralized planning system of the Fourth Civilization. Tyron Heavy Industries was also given access to data on other military technologies, such as the Violent Chariot, the Warwolf walking mecha, and the Siege tank, for further research and development. This strategy marked the beginning of a new era for the Fourth Civilization, separating scientific research from production. Under this model, the scientific research team, led by Professor Qi Jianjun, would focus solely on research and development, leaving the production of specific products to individual companies. For instance, if Professor Qi's team developed an antimatter engine, other companies within the Fourth Civilization could license the technology to develop their own equipment. To Tang Xiao's delight, the establishment of Tyron Heavy Industries attracted a legendary figure who met the conditions for awakening, Rory Swan, the brilliant engineer and mechanic from Starcraft II. Rory Swan, who hailed from a family of tech miners and once ran his own mining company, joined Jim Raynor's Rangers and became known for his mechanical genius, often improving upon official designs with his modifications. Tang Xiao made it a point to personally meet every legendary figure who awoke. This included the legendary biologist family he had previously awakened for the Enjoli matter. After completing his mission, he eagerly returned to meet Rory Swan, anticipating the innovations and advancements this new legend would bring to the Fourth Civilization. At the Black Sun Spice Factory, a knock on the door heralded the entrance of a stout man. Standing only about 1.6 meters tall, his weight, a mix of muscle and fat, easily reached 300 pounds. His left hand had been replaced by a robotic arm from the elbow down, equipped with a large pair of pliers at the front, which he claimed was for the convenience of machining. "You're the manager, right? I'm Rai Swan." "To be honest, you give me a really bad vibe," Swan announced, his voice echoing in the room as he shuffled in, clad in a tattered leather jacket and goggles. A distinct smell of alcohol lingered around him. Did you just wake up from hibernation? Where did you find alcohol? Did you bring a bottle into the hibernation chamber? Tang Xiao asked, his expression a mix of amusement and confusion. Ha! I did bring a bottle with me into the chamber, but it all froze into ice. Swan chuckled, moving the pliers on his robotic arm. So I told the nurse, give me 24 beers, or I'll get dizzy. Ha 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 ha! Tang Xiao smiled, then got straight to the point. As you can see, we're building a new home here, and everything is progressing well. But let me be clear, we're preparing for a battle that will take place in 10 years. It's going to be a total war, and everything we're doing now is in preparation for that. Do you have any thoughts? War? You've just arrived in this universe, and you're already talking about fighting? Who's the enemy? Swan scoffed, his interest piqued despite his skepticism. And you give me a bad feeling. You've killed people? If we don't fight, our civilization won't be able to establish itself in this universe. We'd have no choice but to submit. Fortunately, the conflict doesn't directly involve us. We just need to pick a side, Tang Xiao explained earnestly. And yes, I've killed many for the sake of our civilization's survival, and I won't hesitate to do so again if necessary. Ha! Spare me the grandiose speeches, but fine, you're the boss, and I'll keep my eye on you, Swan retorted, half-jokingly. I suggest you take some time to explore and form your own opinions. You might also want to look into the current developments on the planet, like Tyron Heavy Industries. If you're interested, I could assign you there. It all depends on what you're passionate about, Tang Xiao offered calmly. All right, I'm not one for management or paperwork. Tyron Heavy Industries, you say? I'm familiar with the Vulture hoverbike and the giant mech. Let's start there, Swan decided. Tang Xiao smiled, pleased with the response. Then, from today onwards, you are the chief engineer of Tyron Heavy Industries. If you have any questions or need assistance, feel free to come to me. We'll arrange accommodation for you. And if you're interested, we can also provide guides to show you around our planet and the Glory Mothership. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Rory Swan. Vol 2, Chapter 241, Mercenaries. After sending Rory Swan away, Tang Xiao leaned back in his chair, resting his hands behind his head. A playful smile played at the corner of his mouth. He had recently meditated on Dawn Planet, which should have significantly reduced any aura of killing intent around him. Yet, Swan still felt uneasy in his presence. This contrasted starkly with a previous encounter with a biologist who, despite Tang Xiao having just returned from a battlefield, sensed nothing amiss. He also remembered his interaction with the village special, who had conversed with him as if they were old friends, unaffected by any change in Tang Xiao's demeanor. Why did Swan react differently? This question intrigued him. The awakening of both the biologist and Swan signified a new direction for Tang Xiao, a path of self-development. Previously, the technology for spaceship equipment in the Fourth Civilization was borrowed or directly copied from other games in the database. However, this approach was not sustainable. Introducing technology from other games into the Star Wars universe often led to compatibility issues. For instance, live ammunition weapons are less effective against the deflector shields of Star Wars spaceships, which can deflect or absorb the kinetic energy of projectiles. In contrast, explosive weapons release their energy upon impact, maximizing the weakening of the shield. This explains the prevalent use of turbolasers in the Star Wars universe. The inadequacy of the Blade Fighter's performance, equipped with technology from the Homeland tech tree, against bounty hunter spaceships highlighted this issue. The Blade Fighter's cannons were ineffective against deflector shields, leading to its near destruction. Consequently, both the Hammer-class frigate and the Vengeance-class destroyer underwent modifications to replace their kinetic energy weapons with blue laser weapons, aligning with the Star's technology tree. Ultimately, Tang Xiao realized that independent research and development was the key to progress. While the database contained a wealth of mature, combat-proven technologies, a blend of borrowed and original technologies was essential. As Tang Xiao pondered the future of the Fourth Civilization, he examined his palm, contemplating the gradual liberation from the Glory Mothership's constraints. Currently, less than 200,000 crew members remained in hibernation on the Glory Mothership, while over 450,000 had been awakened and integrated into the burgeoning community. Among those still in hibernation were master-level talents, legendary figures, and 2 individuals of unknown levels. Additionally, 2 million frozen embryos had been adopted and were being nurtured, with their numbers expected to grow exponentially. Lost in thought about the future, Tang Xiao was brought back to the present by a notification from the master brain. "Manager, Trench has finished his treatment and wishes to speak with you." Trench! Tang Xiao had nearly forgotten about him. Since the Battle of Malathal Fjord, where Admiral Trench's flagship was destroyed, but he was rescued by Tang Xiao in the nick of time. Trench had been receiving medical treatment in the Glory Mothership's medical bay. The explosion had exposed him directly to the vacuum of space for at least 10 minutes because the rescue hatch had failed to close. Miraculously, the internal life support system of the rescue capsule had remained functional, saving his life despite the severe injuries he sustained. Trench's survival attested to the remarkable resilience of the hatch people. Tang Xiao let out a sigh, his thoughts heavy with contemplation, before making his way to the medical room. There, he found Admiral Trench, clad in a distinctive hospital gown, awaiting his arrival. "You've arrived sooner than I anticipated, Mr. Tang Xiao," Trench remarked, his voice laced with a series of tsk sounds, betraying a hint of admiration. Without mincing words, Tang Xiao dove straight into the heart of the matter. "I've been informed that you've turned mercenary. Is that correct?" "Yes," Trench confirmed, his pride evident as he caressed the claws at the corners of his mouth. "Should my employer require the orchestration of a naval battle, I lend my expertise in commanding their fleet to victory for a substantial fee. And what if I were to offer you a long-term contract?" Tang Xiao inquired, a smile playing on his lips. "The cost wouldn't be trivial, especially considering my existing commitments to the Enterprise Alliance," Trench responded, his tone serious. "Before we discuss terms, take a moment to consider your current circumstances," Tang Xiao advised, his demeanor shifting. "The Fourth Group is prepared to offer you a more lucrative deal than the Enterprise Alliance. For the time being, you won't be assigned any combat missions. However," his smile faded, replaced by a chilling expression as a formidable dark force began to emanate from him, enveloping the room with an aura that seemed to herald death itself. "Just remember who you serve." Trench instinctively retreated, the pressure from Tang Xiao's presence unmistakable. Though he couldn't identify the nature of the force surrounding Tang Xiao, its intimidating effect was undeniable. "You're asking me to be a spy?" he ventured cautiously. "We will be allies in battle, Admiral Trench," Tang Xiao emphasized, placing significance on the title. "And I believe you're aware that you have no option but to accept." Trench took a moment to process the proposition, then with a resigned tone, agreed. "I understand. I accept your offer. 1,000,000 credit points have been transferred to your account, and I'll cover your medical expenses this time," Tang Xiao announced, extending his hand. "Here's to a fruitful partnership, Admiral." Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the Milky Way, the planet Askagi witnessed the silent approach of a fire-breathing class small spaceship towards a remote factory. Without warning, the spaceship unleashed a barrage of firepower on the miners' living quarters, the explosions jolting the inhabitants awake in a frenzy of panic. As chaos ensued, the spaceship's door opened, and a figure clad in armor leaped out. With a jetpack propelling him through the air, he descended into the turmoil below. His movements were swift and precise, his gun drawn and fired in a flash, neutralizing 3 guards in quick succession.